Happer and Wow, Schaefer, Connor and Mike. Yeah. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Wow, Schaefer, it's Connor and Mike.
Welcome in. It is Happer and Schaefer. It is Mike Schaefer sitting here today. Connor Happer will be headed to Dubuque, his favorite golf tournament of the year at some point here today on Friday. So I have returned and I am running things. And I am pleased to say I will be joined today by none other than Michael C. Stibbs.
Could have said it. You learned it today.
He is here today. This is a man who has created many things. He's been involved in the opening of this show, the original opening, the
good one,
Dark Outside opening. He has created Harambe Karaoke. He gave us the Steve Sipple Open that people will just sing to themselves anytime Sipple is involved in a story, which is several times. So
he's also given us the chorus line in our City of the Day.
Yeah,
Open.
Joey. I mean, there's no shortage of things.
That's right. That's right.
Stibbs has been involved,
which I get to hear today.
He gets to participate in
to.
City of the Day, which we chose Seattle.
So you chose that? It wasn't like up next in a list.
No, there's no list. It's just we pick it.
I thought I just got lucky.
No.
Okay.
No, it doesn't work.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm excited. Seattle's been in the news lately.
Yeah, well,
for all the wrong reasons.
Hoping that there's maybe an update on the Space Needle jumpers.
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that before I select some headlines.
I like to think of them as the 2026 DB Coopers, even though there's really no comparison other than, I guess, jumping.
Have you seen a movie called Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie that came out last year?
No, I haven't.
There is that takes place in Toronto, which has a tower that is very similar to the Space Needle called, I think, what is it? The CN Tower. They jump off of that in that movie.
Okay.
Came out this year. That was maybe my favorite movie of the year, by the way. You should go watch that movie. It's great. I think it's on Hulu now.
Okay. Yeah. So I will have to check that out. But Stibbs is in today and we will go wherever that goes.
Good morning.
He's informed me that he's ready to talk about the following things: Seattle, the Denver Broncos, hats, if we need to have any conversations about hats. I'm sure that there will be an opportunity for him to discuss the upcoming 2026 season for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure he has many, many thoughts, all of them exceedingly pleasant, I am sure.
Yeah.
We will certainly dive into Nebraska's media day yesterday and some of the stuff, some of the news that came out of it, some of the general vibes that were put out there by Matt Rule as he got up and talked on behalf of Nebraska. And then you had Justin Evans and Luke Lindenmeyer and Andrew Marshall there as the player representative. So we'll get into a little bit of that. And then our guest today, we have Parker Gabriel, who, you have Stibbs in. You want to get some Broncos talk? You want to get some Parker Gabriel in as well. Stibbs very familiar from his time previously.
Yeah, we had him on a handful of times.
Yeah. So that's going to be at 8:30 and then 9:15. Jake Sorensen, and you never know quite where he's going to show up or if he'll have cell service or what potentially will be happening there. But
I saw a take of his. On Twitter last night, right before I was about to fall asleep. That I'm very excited. I mean, it's not new. It was a take that he had probably last winter going into spring.
Okay.
That has aged very poorly, especially if you watched the Twins game last night.
Yeah, so
which was funny.
If you'll get the opportunity, you'll get to hear Jake Sorensen's opening. He has takes, and they don't always age. They don't.
Unlike
always
me,
age.
all of my takes are always right and perfect and good.
Look, that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
We want some of those takes here on a Friday to get people going into their weekend. The thing about Sorensen, particularly being on Friday, and I would imagine it'll be this way going into the the college football and the NFL season. There's always something that happens like on the Thursday or leading into the weekend that makes it great to talk with him. And yesterday, what Stibbs was alluding to, if you didn't see this, it was probably the Royalsiest loss of a Royalsy season that has just been horrendous. 2 outs, 2 strikes, up 3, and you make history by allowing a grand slam in that scenario, which gives them 4 runs. You're up 3. Now you've lost
in one swing. I had not heard the term.
2 count.
I had not heard the term. Is it ultimate grand slam?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called? I'm somewhat of a fairly new baseball guy, I guess, in the last 10 years, but I had not heard that. And then I saw there's a reason why, because it's only happened like 34 times ever.
I can think of 1, maybe 2. I'd have to go back and check the second one for circumstances with Cleveland, where they've walked somebody off when they were trailing. But this one with the 2 outs and because in the other 2, I think there was only maybe either 1 out or no outs.
Yeah.
Like they had just loaded the bases and then it was, but 2 outs.
2 outs with nobody
2
on.
Strikes. Yeah.
2 before that.
And
then it got to the 2 strikes, which is crazy.
It is so incredible to me how bad they have been in like sort of every direction. It's not just like the pitching stinks or the hitting stinks or you got a bad bullpen. You sort of get one of those 3 every game, no matter what. And then the other 2 have to kind of try to make up for it, which is sort of baseball. But
I was going to say, it sounds very familiar to me currently.
But you're like, at some point, your team kind of at least pulls back to like, if you can do that, you're going to play around 500 or slightly above 500. I know this because Cleveland has not had hitting for about a decade now and have found ways to win baseball games. What the Royals are doing is they get the worst case scenario like 6 out of 10 times. That's an incredible percentage.
Yeah, it is. That's bad. There's some sort of bad juju or something that happened in that parking lot where all of those things that used to happen to the Chiefs, what I like to call the good old days, when they would be up by 24 in the first half of a playoff game against the Colts and lose, or crazy things like that, have shifted now to the baseball team. Not that the baseball team didn't have this before, but I don't really have any reason to dislike the Royals other than the fact that they share a parking lot with the Chiefs, but that's enough for me to decide to not like them.
By association.
Plus, doesn't Mahomes own like 5% of the team or something like that?
He's got some shares.
That's plenty too.
Yeah.
And I've been to enough games there that the Mariners have lost that they just piss me off when I'm there. So, and they share a lot of fans, and I don't know if you've heard, not a fan of them either.
No, I get it. It's
so yeah, go Twins.
You can certainly find reasons to dislike things in Kansas City. I know that's one of the hallmarks of who you are as an individual.
It is. Really. It's ingrained into my. I was kind of explaining somebody. I met a Chiefs fan, unfortunately, and was trying to explain to them my fandom, and a thing I say often, which is true, and it doesn't like bode well for the type of person that I am. I dislike the Chiefs more than I like the Broncos at this point. And it again.
I mean, look, I can understand.
That sounds bad. Like that's not a good thing to have more hate into something than love.
The Schadenfreude is so strong.
It's huge.
It's almost like it's the same as your team winning, and in some cases, it's even better.
I just remember going to that stadium when I was 9-10 years old and being terrified of the people there who were mean to me, and then not seeing the Broncos win a game in person for over a decade.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of loss. I was at the Dante Hall game when he returned that 94-yard touchdown, or there were 2 blocks in the
incredible.
Back. I was at a Bronco. This isn't Chiefs related, but I was at a Broncos Bears game where Devin Hester did the same thing in the fourth quarter. It was pretty incredible. I mean, I was a grown adult crying in stadiums. Like, I'm never going to see this. I didn't go to a game for like 8 years because I was like, why would I do that again?
My team loses.
I didn't see him win a game in person until Peyton Manning was on the team.
I think I've been to 7 Vikings games, and it might be 4-3 or 3-4, somewhere in that neighborhood.
I've been to 1 Vikings game. Bears won.
I've been to one Broncos game. It was Tim Tebow versus Christian Ponder in 2011. An absolute classic. Look up that box score. It was a crazy game.
I was gonna say I don't remember that one specifically.
Crazy game. Well, that was
every single game.
That was a Tebow year. Yeah.
Speaking of 2011, my first Packers game was down in Kansas City. That was that 15-1 season, and they lost that game to Mr. Kyle Orton, who was on the Broncos earlier that season.
Oh, that's wild.
I think it was like 18-16 or something like that. It was a slugfest.
One of those comebacks I see, 35-32.
Yeah,
at least it was entertaining.
It was very entertaining. It was my dad's first
December
NFL
4th.
game. He had never gone to a game. He wanted to go to a game. We ended up driving through like a snowstorm to get up to Minneapolis. We're in the same hotel just by chance that the Vikings players are in. I booked the hotel on the way up, and because of the snowstorm, like nobody's going apparently. And we end up in this really nice hotel for very cheap because they're just trying to like sell rooms. And so the experience ends up being pretty great, but that drive up, like interstate, just snowing the entire time. Not enough that they were shutting things down, but enough that it was like affecting your ability to drive.
Yeah.
And then
everyone's
probably
going driving 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
And so
I see that neither team had their best player that day. Adrian Peterson was injured and Von Miller was injured.
Yeah, because Peterson had torn his ACL like 2 weeks earlier.
I don't remember this one. It was in December. So I was living in Chicago for most of that year in an internship. I would have been home by then, but I remember sitting in my crappy little apartment watching half these games on an antenna. I remember the Jets one. I mean, yeah, I remember. I was at a concert.
Did you go
for
to the
Jets
Bears Broncos game that year? That would have been in Chicago.
No,
because the Broncos didn't won that.
They did, yeah.
Huge fumble by
Marion
was Marion Barber.
Was it that he fumbled? He may have fumbled too, but the big thing is he ran out of bounds at some point when they were trying to run the clock out.
Okay. So
that was the big thing.
I know I'm pretty sure he had a fumble.
I'm sure
but
he did.
I think you're right. Like, I think the bigger thing is that he stopped the clock.
There was like less than
and
a
then
minute.
allowed, for the Broncos, because they had all those crazy comebacks that year.
Yeah.
Like that 2011 season. That's where
John and Josh used to
That's where they won the playoff game against the Steelers
yeah.
on the Demaryius Thomas like slant route that went for 80 yards.
It was against Ryan Clark.
Yeah.
The John and Josh used to make fun of me incessantly for this, but I stand by it that is like my favorite Broncos season. I'm someone who's seen them win one. I mean, I was adult or I was aware and watched the Broncos Super Bowl wins in 97 and 98, but you're my age. So when we were that age,
not 2016, 2015,
15. Yeah. Growing up in the late 90s, I just thought that's what football fandom was. The Huskers won every year. The Broncos won 2 years in a row. I was like, oh, well, this is fun. This is how it will always be. But yeah, as someone who's seen them win 3 Super Bowls, that season was just every week was just incredible. It was so much fun, culminating in that playoff game. Which
the surprise seasons or the like they pull it, out of the rear end seasons or whatever it is. Those can have such a like strong emotional impact because there's Cleveland teams like there's one in 2013. They've been bad for several years and then surprisingly end up winning the wild card, have like this 24 win September. And it's all young guys, all the guys that eventually would be playing in the World Series. Like that run was more fun than the 2016 where they win the playoff was better in 2016 until it was the worst thing of my life. But like the actual season, I feel like you have to sometimes separate the postseason from like the regular season because there's such a big, emotional difference with
for sure. I mean, even if the Broncos wouldn't have won that playoff game, maybe I wouldn't say it was my favorite season I do, but
you have all those crazy comebacks.
I still would have talked about it all the time. It took
the weirdest stuff for them to win some of these games.
Yeah,
I think they remember
one of the Chiefs games they won. Tebow was 2 for like 20, but he had 170 yards and 2 touchdowns or something crazy. Like one of them was to Eric Decker for a 75-yard touchdown pass. It was insane. It reminded me a lot. You might remember this, unfortunately for you, but I remember my dad having the same feelings. I'm not going to remember what year, maybe 2001-ish. The Bears season where Mike Brown returned to, it was Shane Matthews and Jim Miller.
Mike Brown is like one of those guys. One, you remember him from Nebraska and a 4-year starter. He was incredible
stud.
And then he's like, he had the return against the 49ers. I can't remember who the other team was. And it was like back-to-back.
He didn't return it, but he had an interception in a Vikings game in Chicago because I was at that game. It was the game. It was like the second game after 9/11, I think.
That sounds right.
We were at that one. But yeah, that season was incredible. They had a Hail Mary that Thomas Jones caught off
like 11-6 or 12-5 that year
with Cade McNown and Shane Matthews, and
they had a bunch of crazy comebacks.
It reminded me a lot of that.
Those are the years where it's like
my dad still talks about Shane Matt. There's a Chris Berman highlight from NFL primetime during that Thomas Jones Hail Mary. Where Shane Matthews was the quarterback that game, and he said the Shane Matthews band, and then it shows Thomas Jones catching that ball like 2 inches off the ground, and Chris Berman tries to sing the space between, and me and my dad talk about it all the time.
What are you doing, Chris Berman?
I miss that guy.
What are you doing? I have not thought. Okay, you said Shane Matthews. He was the quarterback that year.
They had 3 different quarterbacks play that year, if I remember right.
Of the name Shane Matthews in at least.
Was he UCLA?
Okay, yeah. Well, McNown was.
Cade McNown was.
Was Shane Matthews Virginia Tech, or was that Drunkenmiller?
Florida.
Okay.
Well, maybe this just means he lives in Florida.
He
went to Florida.
He played for the Commanders or the Redskins at some point. I have that in my head, and that was right after his first and only stint with the Bears. No, he played twice for the Bears.
14 years in the NFL. I would have never guessed that in a million
One
years.
of those backup quarterbacks that just kept finding opportunities.
He was the, what's his name, Chase Daniel of his generation.
He had 31 touchdowns and 24 interceptions on only 839 backup passing attempts. Like it's actually kind of remarkable.
Not bad.
So Shane Matthews.
Bet you didn't think we were going to talk about him this morning.
No, I didn't. I love it though. This is exactly what I want on a Friday here.
Yeah.
As you're listening to Happer and Schaefer, I should mention, and we haven't gotten any more clarity on this, Joey. I think right now, if you happen to have been attempting to listen over the air and now you find yourself to the app or to the stream, we are having technical issues with being broadcast over the air right now. So we are available by app or by the stream, which isn't helpful if you can't hear this.
I always love making that announcement.
It's one of those things like if you happen to be like, oh, I wonder, something's going on. You go to the app and you're like, oh, I can get it here, but I can't get him, over the air. That's why we're having technical issues right now. And so we will keep you updated. And hopefully at some point soon, we will be back on our beautiful 1620 radio signal. But if you are just tuning in, Mike Schaefer sitting in the number 1 seat. Michael Stibbs here. He was here at 5:47.
Sounds about right.
This morning.
Yeah, he was.
He had threatened to not show up until 6:05, like I did on my first show.
No to shave.
But he showed up early. Stibbs in the morning.
Kind of surprised, but not that I got here on time, but more about like that I was able to get somewhat good sleep. I think I walked up to my bed at 10 p.m., which hasn't happened in quite a long time.
No, you went to bed well before.
I laid there for 2 hours and watched the Mariners get their ass kicked.
All right. Now it's like I go to bed early with the intention of like, I'm going to do this. This is going to be great. And then I get up there and it's like, well, I could watch something.
Yeah. I could also scroll Twitter for 3 hours and melt my brain.
Yeah.
And make it even harder to fall asleep. But no, I watched that. I got 6 hours of sleep, which is about 3 more hours than I thought I'd get.
There you go. That's great.
So I'm feeling
so you got a well-rested Stibbs on top of all of this. And as mentioned today, we'll also have Parker Gabriel and Jake Sorensen as well. Jake Sorensen in his usual spot, Parker Gabriel at 8:30. And when we come back, we will we'll dive into the Connor Happer's tiny baby balls over there. In his lottery ball machine and Group of Friday. Plus, I also think, Joey, maybe we throw Washington in. Have we talked Washington yet this year?
I
feel like maybe we have.
We've talked a lot of Big Ten schools.
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
But in honor of our city of the day,
no, we haven't had Washington.
The Power 4 school closest to Seattle would be Washington. So we'll talk a little Washington as well as we get into the balls of steel next on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back in here on Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer here. Michael Stibbs in for Connor Happer today. It is 6:27, and Michael Stibbs is on, well, not your radio yet, but on your apps and your streams.
Yeah.
Maybe you're on the radio. I don't know. We haven't heard yet if we are back over the air. We'll keep an eye on that. Well, you guys should keep an eye on this. You can always give us a call on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Hit us up, talk to, what you want to talk to Stibbs? You want to just call Stibbs and say hello.
Do it.
This is your opportunity to.
I'd love to talk to you guys. I miss you guys.
402-951-1620. Each week, we'll be giving out a $100 gift card to the Sky Bar and Grill at Prairie Flower Casino. So enter now. You can do that at 1620thezone.com. And you can call us on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, 402-951-1620. Just call and say hello to Stibbs.
I think last time I was in on Unsportsmanlike Conduct, we just did like call if you went to my high school, or call. There was a random guy who just texted and was like, hey, do you know Mark Heben Street? And I was like, yeah, I went to high school with him. And then we started getting random texts and calls about, I knew Mark Heben Street. And then I got a DM from Mark Heben Street. It's like, heard you're on the radio again. Every time I get a text from my brother, I know you're on the radio. So Mark, good morning. You might be hearing from some people.
Feel free to hit us up if you have thoughts on Mark Heben Street.
$100 you're giving away?
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
I realized you guys pay me to do this, which is great. But I think I'd have a better shot of getting more money if I didn't, because I'm not eligible to win these things.
Yeah, because if
I just stopped working here part-time, I might be able to make more money just from your.
Good. We're giving away a lot of stuff over 1620thezone.com.
Yeah.
So you get over there, you have an opportunity to win. You want to be a winner. You listen to 1620 The Zone. All right. I said that we were going to do the balls of steel. I misspoke. We're going to save that for a little bit later. Instead, we'll dive into some of the news that came out of
accountability.
We'll get to that, Joey. It's only
I'm just booking.
He's just making his mental list.
So ready that guy screwed up. Yeah. If he doesn't mention it, it's double.
I was in the first segment too. What an idiot.
I do need to add that laugh to it at the very end. Joey's just waiting for everybody to mess up. So we'll get into some of the news that came out of Matt Rule and the guys talking at Big Ten Media Days yesterday. The biggest thing of which he kind of talked a little about Tyke Hayes and how the running back that was previously at Penn State ended up at Nebraska. And it's kind of simple. It makes sense. This is exactly what you sort of do in this situation. And Matt Rule was basically saying after the Mekhi Nelson news came out that he was arrested down in Florida and his status for the upcoming season was a little bit unknown. A little more on that here in a bit. Nebraska's Matt Rule and Pat Stewart were sitting around talking, the general manager, Pat Stewart, and it was like, hey, if this is the NFL, like, we just bring a guy in and work him out and see if we want to take that spot and give it to somebody else. And so it's just as simple as that. They started to get on the horn and contacted some different people. They knew that Tyke Hayes had ended up at Iowa Western. And so Matt Rule said that he talked with some coaches over at Penn State about him. They checked in on him. He didn't sound like this was a guy that had been on their radar for long. It was sort of an opportunity that fell in their lap, and they extended the offer, and they get the commitment and the quick moving out of Council Bluffs and coming down the road over to Lincoln. And so I guess, it's sometimes I think there was this sort of desire that, Nebraska like kind of hid this guy or knew about this, and they really like vetted this, and he's going to be able to come in here and help. No, it was, we got a spot for a body. This guy could be interesting.
I wonder if that quote itself, too, for the people who are not super fond about the direction that college football has taken, I found that quote to be interesting. If we were the now, I agree with the thought process. I want to say off the bat, 100%. This is how you need to run your college football team now. But it's an interesting quote to see if you're someone who's not a fan of the way things have gone, to see your coach basically just be like, we're running it like the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, he kind of goes on to say, like, I tell our personnel staff just to continue to evaluate guys as they come up as Tyke's name came to us, and we didn't know a ton about him, and certainly not knowing what was going to happen with Mekhi, it made sense to at least look at another player at his position. And so they took a look. They liked apparently what they saw, what they heard, and they brought him in. It does not really mean that he's going to be involved heavily. And certainly now that you know that you have Mekhi Nelson back, his opportunity to even be involved goes down a little bit. But
I wouldn't say that room was shored up before the Mekhi Nelson news by any means. So I would feel wide open it is.
I wouldn't say it. However, every opportunity that he has had to talk about the running back room, they talk about how much more they like it, and it's gotten to the point where he knows that they're feel like kind of on an island. He's like, hey, I feel this way about it, and I recognize that not everyone does. So they think between Nelson, Isaiah Mosey, Quentin Ives, Jamal Rule, and now, and Hayes, you've got those 5, plus there's Connor Booth, so 6. Between those 6 running backs, they've got enough guys. It sounds like they're going to rotate 2-3 guys every game. They're going to play probably more than that, but primarily at least 2 will be splitting carries, and then maybe up to 3, depending on where kind of Jamal Rule factors in and how quickly he factors in. And so that running back room can be really interesting. We'll see if Tyke Hayes is ever more than just that random guy that joined the team in that one time, and then we never heard from him again. And
he's got a great name. I hope he pans out. That's an awesome name.
So
I know Jack Mitchell's a fan, so of the name probably. And I was watching some content of his when he learned of who this man was when they signed him.
Yeah,
and he watched 3 plays. And he was like, I like him.
I'm in.
It's enough for me.
Sometimes maybe that's the magic number. If you throw on the film and you get 3 plays, and if it's not an immediate yes in those first 3 plays, you just assume he's garbage forever.
Yeah, that sounds right to me.
That might be, maybe I start a recruiting service and it's just 3 plays. Instead of on 3, it's just 3.
We'll come up. Well, you can outsource this.
I want to work it.
402-951-1620.
Yeah.
But no, I like that idea. So it seems to work for Jack. He's never wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Quick judgments have never failed that man before. So mentioned Mekhi Nelson. He will be, I'd say reinstated. Nothing really had ever happened.
Yeah.
It's just the expectation is that he will be involved going forward. The charges have been dropped for him down in Florida. It doesn't sound like there's any internal discipline. And if there is, they've already either handled it but it won't affect his playing.
Yeah,
I guess is what I'm saying, or his involvement here with fall camp. Other news to come out of yesterday that I thought was relatively important. Jeremiah Jones was a guy that was involved in Nebraska's 2025 recruiting class. And so he came in as a freshman, and Jeremiah Jones was a safety, linebacker, tight end, wide receiver in high school, and was sort of recruited across 4 different positions. When I covered his recruitment, this is a guy that I talked to one recruiting personnel person that was in the ACC at the time, and he basically said, hey, this guy could be a stand-up defensive end. He could be his body is still growing. And so at that time, I think he was 6'4", 215 pounds. Nebraska liked the idea of him as a wide receiver. I think he wanted to try to make it work as a wide receiver. After 1 year in the receiver room, Jeremiah Jones now moving to the defensive side. They're going to try him as a edge player effectively, which it's a position where Nebraska has routinely struggled to find, individuals and bring people in that can help out and really perform at a high level. As we know, pass rush has not been a strong suit. We'll see if it works for Jeremiah Jones. Typically, when guys are changing positions, the success rate is not super high if it happens after they were sort of a high profile player elsewhere.
It's not, the more you think about it, the way that defenses in that specific position has changed over the last 10, 15 to 20 years, but it's an interesting jump from wide receiver to edge rusher. A lot if you think of defensive ends of our youth,
right?
Those aren't guys who would ever be catching passes, but you think about what they are now. They're just incredible,
6'4", 230
fast athletes,
right?
Yeah,
at 6'4", 230, he's already physically got the size, to be able to handle the position. It's whether he can pick up everything else. we saw similar. This is similar, less hyped as a high school player, but Justin McGriff made this move for Nebraska before ultimately leaving the program. Came in as a wide receiver, tight end hybrid, switched over to defensive end, and then linebacker, and then out the door. And so
how'd that? Oh, yeah. Well, he left. So I was gonna say, how'd that work out? not
like a lot of people
jokingly.
in the initial Scott Frost 2018 recruiting class, it didn't end with them getting their degree. So
here,
well, yeah, excuse me. Getting their degree at Nebraska. So we'll see with Jeremiah Jones. There were times in fall we'd have Jeremiah go pass rush when he was on scout team. And as we got to the spring, occasionally we'd let him go pass rush. I think he saw himself having success and he thought, I could probably do this. I know that Nebraska, I think, was more willing to have him play defensively, but Jones wanted to try wide receiver first. And I think that he was talented enough. Nebraska's like, we'll just take you, and then we'll figure it all out. And so his name hadn't been coming up much at wide receiver, and this explains why he is now going to be a defensive end, not someone that I'm expecting to hear a lot from this upcoming season, but we shall see. 3 names that are back and healthy and will be there at the start of fall camp that were out all spring and in some cases out a lot of last season. Janiron Bonner, the wide receiver, really valuable for Nebraska in terms of red zone. Matt Rule, gushing quote again about him and just what he is as a person, as a teammate. They really value this guy. He got hurt in that Cincinnati game, if people remember, just took basically a helmet to the knee and ended his season in like the second quarter of the first game. And this is a guy that they were going to use quite a bit in kind of an H-back role to clean things up. You think about how Chancellor Brewington was used a few years ago by Scott Frost. I think we were going to see a lot of that from Janiron Bonner. He just does a lot of the dirty work. And so Holgerson was pretty upset last year. And that's a guy that he's back. He's healthy. He's going to be playing. Nebraska's going to have a role for him. Rex Guthrie played safety last season for Nebraska as a redshirt freshman. He got banged up at the end of the year, missed spring. He will be back in full go. And then Gunnar Gatula, who's kind of a really interesting,
great name.
Yeah, a really interesting player for Nebraska this upcoming season, because I think he's going to be in a competition with Tree Babalade in that right tackle spot. So you could either have a Tree or a Gunnar kind of filling out your offensive line, and then the other one seemingly would be your next best lineman. Gunnar Gatula will be valuable for Nebraska at some point this season. It's hard to get through a full season with just your 5 offensive linemen.
Yeah, that's unheard of almost.
So,
if for nothing, minus whether it's an injury or not. I mean,
yeah,
I know that was a whole thing. How many years ago was that with the substituting in linemen? Was that Frost years? But that was a big talking point for the longest time. Either they were or they weren't.
It was
too much or wasn't enough.
I mean, that's been like a large conversation throughout the duration of the time I've covered Nebraska, because Pelini did it, Mike Riley didn't, and Mike Cavanaugh like joked about like, I mean, if you have your 5 starters, why are you bringing in these other guys? And then their line wasn't particularly good, so people got mad about it. Frost didn't want to do it and sort of was derisive of the practice of it, but then they've had some instances where they were switching guys in games, and it's like they kind of relented on it.
Yeah.
And then ultimately they just had so many injuries that that's what it is. I mean, I know that there's still the school thought you try to get them in for a series or whatever, but it doesn't always work that way.
And that's a group, a position group that maybe more than any other on the field is so important to have the cohesiveness.
Oh yeah, you want them to
I was
be able
reading
to gel
it's NFL, but they're all the same now, as we discussed. We're going to talk about them later, but the Broncos have had the same 5 guys on their line for like 4 years, and that's the most in the NFL. And it's just like the stats and the nerds were talking about how much a difference that can make and per points per game and blah blah blah.
Nerds love continuity.
Yeah.
Which they're not wrong. I think there's a lot of data that points
for sure
in that
again,
direction.
especially in that position group.
All right, we are going to point in the direction of west, and we are going to go out west for Seattle as our city of the day when Happer and Schaefer returns.
Good luck with that, Dan.
We learned this city. We learned this city on Happer. Schaefer learned this city. We learned this city on Happer. Schaefer.
Welcome back here. Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer in the number one chair. Connor Happer on his way to Dubuque at some point here today. Michael Stibbs, the voice of that intro.
That was me.
That was you.
I don't know that I've heard that live yet.
Wow.
I forgot I did it.
That's your first
I mean,
time?
it's 6:45 on Fridays. What could you possibly
Is that
be
when it
doing?
always is?
Yeah, 6:45
Okay, that's why I haven't heard it. Yeah.
What could you be doing at 6:45?
I'm still
on Friday?
sleeping.
Wow.
I work from home on
that.
Fridays, so that means that I wake up at 7:50 and
Yeah.
I roll out of bed and I sit in front of my computer at 8.
That commute to your computer.
Yeah.
I remember
great.
the days of working from home and doing that. It was great.
It's nice. The hybrid thing is kind of nice. If I had to work from home all the time, I'd go insane.
Yeah.
Especially now that I don't have a reason, not to bring this down, I don't have a reason to take a dog outside anymore.
Yeah.
I've found myself like
I've
4
been like
days.
hesitating to. I
it's
certainly
fine.
wasn't going to bring it up on air. But
I don't want to bring it down. It's fine. I'm alive. He's not. But
jeez.
I miss him dearly. But I found myself like 3 or 4 days in a row, like, I don't think I've opened that apartment door. I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So
You can get
thankfully I
cabin
go to the
fever.
office. But But yeah, that's why I have not heard that opening. I sound great. Thanks.
You always sound great. You always sound great. Seattle always sounds great. It is a city I've never been. It was on when we did this tiers list, Joey, if you remember places we want to visit. It was one of the U.S. cities.
It was high on your list.
That was on there for me.
Remember.
And I would love to get out to Seattle at some point. Here are some facts of our city of the day. It was founded in 1851, the nickname of the Emerald City. It is the largest city in the Pacific Northwest, which basically it's Seattle, Portland. I don't know if it's bigger than Vancouver. I don't know if this is just a largest by American standards or if it encompasses Vancouver as well up there. But 4.1 in metro population, 780,000 in city population. It is a massively influential city in all sort of facets. I mean, you have the tech sector, and I think aerospace, and obviously then you have coffee and all of that. And there's
the fish market
as well out there, where you have the Seattle Seahawks are your recent Super Bowl winners, and they have won several. The Sonics were fiercely popular, and then now have some of like the most popular retro stuff that you'll see pop up and could come back into existence.
It's got the most traction it's had in a long time.
The Mariners, as Happer and I discussed a couple weeks ago when Ken Griffey Jr. was playing, were one of the coolest, if not the coolest team in sports. The backwards hat, the jersey, the gear, like people love the idea of the Mariners. And then there's this, and I would argue this is what is most synonymous for me with Seattle. It is music / grunge / like 90s culture that emanates from the music scene that came out of there, from bands like Nirvana,
boots, flannel, long hair.
I think I heard once that Pearl Jam was once called Mookie or Mookie Blaylock.
That was their first name.
After, yeah.
Yeah, there's a quote in the documentary, their 25th anniversary documentary, where they had to change it when they finally went on their first tour.
Right, because
they're in the van, and they're like, yeah, we had to change it from Mookie Blaylock. Turns out it's taken by this guy named Mookie Blaylock. They were huge basketball fans. Basketball fans.
No, and so like that's when I think of Seattle, it has all of this stuff, and I grew up a Sonics fan, and yet music is like I think the single biggest thing.
I knew you liked. I didn't know that you grew up a Sonics fan.
No, Sean Kemp was my guy, and then so there's like Sean Kemp and Gary Payton. Detlef was there early, and then even as they sort of went through all their other iterations, where they had Vin Baker, or they had Brent Barry, or they had they had Kevin Durant for a season at the very end. Right. And so
those pictures of him in the Sonics uniform are hilarious. You think he's tall and Grim Reaper-y looking now? Like that dude was Ronnie.
Yeah, no, when he came out as a freshman, and then of course they moved to Oklahoma City and ceased to exist, and nobody's ever heard of them ever since.
Now they're flopping all over the place.
Yeah, no kidding. But so Seattle has just been this like massive.
They're without a police chief right now.
Oh, they don't have. Wow.
He resigned last night.
That could not be a popular place to be a police chief, right?
No, and I don't know if you saw after the events that happened there, he lives in Chicago.
Oh.
And everyone found that out and was like, why is your family in Chicago? Why do you rent an apartment in Seattle? You are the police chief of Seattle.
That's not going to endear you to.
And then he yelled at a reporter, and 2 days later he resigned.
Yeah,
it was pretty crazy.
Here are some of the businesses that Seattle calls home, they call home Seattle. I don't know. I screwed that up. We're moving on.
I'm following.
Amazon, Microsoft, which is headquartered up there. Starbucks was founded in Seattle, as we know. And then I kind of forgot about this. Costco was headquartered in one of the suburbs up there. And so it's a huge business and tech hub. Joey, what are the interstates that would get you to and from Seattle?
Well, east to west, I-90 ends there, and then going north and south, you got Interstate 5.
Okay. So that's pretty simple.
2 major interstates.
Yeah, well, those, 5 is pretty big out there, and I would assume 90 is pretty big across the northern.
If you want to go on the longest interstate,
is that east-west? Is that the longest across the United States?
90 is.
Where does it end on the eastern point?
Boston.
Right, so it goes all the way
right outside of Logan Airport.
That's what runs across the North Dakota, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Where's 80 start and end, Joe?
San Francisco to just outside of New York City on New Jersey side.
Okay.
Over at I-95.
I always just assumed that was the one, but that's because I live here.
I think it's the second longest. It's the second longest.
It's it's more in the middle, so it's probably used more. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say the outer points of the northern part of the United States are the furthest away from each other. So that's probably the only reason that it works in that way. What else can we tell you?
Actually, I-90 does not go through North Dakota. It goes through South Dakota. Accountability. There you go.
So what goes through North Dakota?
94.
Okay. Well, I've been on both 94 and 90.
Yeah, 94 starts in Billings. It goes through North Dakota.
Okay.
That takes you to Bismarck.
We always, occasionally miss things on this show, and that's why we have the accountability segment.
I'm happy because I don't have to come up with anything.
Do we think Matt McMaster could live in Seattle? I think yes.
Yeah.
I think he could live in Seattle. I think he would talk about the seafood all the time. It has
he'd be going
the weather, the gloomy weather, the gloomy nature of Matt McMaster.
I feel like there's a kindred likeness between Chicago and Seattle.
Yeah.
Maybe it's weather-wise, like they both can have some kind of tough. I mean, Chicago winter is horrible, but like they're kind of tough folks for the weather. Food, they're known for food. I can see if you're in Chicago being in getting along in Seattle as well.
And we will be back on Happer and Schaefer. Hey, welcome back here on Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer in the number one chair. Connor Happer out. Michael Stibbs is in. It is 7 a.m. Stibbs is rocking and rolling here on a Friday.
Awake. I was worried.
He's very into being up in the morning. This could be a whole lifestyle.
Pump the brakes on that. Okay. There are often times we were talking about watching old shows and movies. I'll watch a movie and they'll make like a scene look really, real nice. Like when a guy wakes up, the person wakes up, birds are chirping, sun's rising. And I'm like, that looks kind of nice. And then that'll happen to me at home, and I'll wake up and I'll realize I don't live in a cottage in a meadow, and I'm alone in an apartment, and I think I'll just stay in bed for 3 more hours. And that sounds a lot better. So I'm pretty sure I'll do that again. But
that's usually the case for me as well.
Yeah. But I'm happy to be here. This is a lot of fun. I thought I'd be struggling, and I feel great.
I feel like the only time in which that the sun shines a little brighter and the birds are chirping and everything is perfect. I feel like that really only ever happens if I'm like on vacation.
Yeah.
That can never happen if I'm in Nebraska, or
I will give it two instances where it does happen if I'm not on vacation. Yeah. Golf.
So that's the one for me. That's true. Like a really early tee time, but it's also
7:38 tee time. 11 o'clock Husker tailgates.
Ooh, okay.
It's been a long time now, but I had a group of friends who had a tailgate in the PBA parking lot for 3 or 4 years in a row in the Riley days. And those 11 a.m. kickoffs, it was tough to get up, but you get there. Again, they're still due. It's a little chilly. You got the Casey's breakfast pizzas. You got the orange beers. You
get that nice like early
crisp,
fall.
Get your hoodie on.
Yeah.
That feels good.
Shorts, hoodie, wetter. That's like the wetter. Throw that on the accountability section. Can't say the word weather.
No big deal.
Don't know where that came from, but So I have gotten used to the morning wake up. Like it hasn't been that difficult. But I do agree that the idea that everything outside is just so beautiful and bright and perfect.
Keep in mind, too, when I worked here I was on the show for 7, 6, no, I don't know, however many years.
I didn't have the old 7-6, so nobody hits you with one or the other.
I didn't have to be here until 10 o'clock or whatever, because I was here until 9. So, like, I did not, from the beginning of my professional, quote unquote, career, the 9 to 5 thing was not a thing. Right. And for someone who was already a night owl and didn't like the mornings, that just all I did was I just ran with that and didn't wake up till 9:30 and rolled into here in a hoodie.
I've had one 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 job ever in my life. And even that one was one where I was on the road for 2 to 3 weeks of the month, and you'd start your day a lot earlier than 8 a.m. when you're out hitting the train yards. And so I've never really had like a traditional job, and just needed to be somewhere at exactly this time, and then you have to work until exactly this time. Like there's always been some level of flexibility. And then when I've had the one place that was sort of like that, when you weren't on the road, the expectation is you had to be in by like 7:50 in the morning. And if you left before 5, everyone took notice of it. And, were passive or overtly passive aggressive about it.
I was pretty worried when I left here about having a real, like having to just like, I'm going to have to actually be. And it's one thing to be up and whatever, but like when I first started my job now, I would have calls with clients at 8 a.m. So like I had to be awake and ready and prepared and alert and answer questions and do like, and it was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
So thankfully I'm good now, but
I think I'm an idiot, but I think a lot of it is just that you adjust to whatever the situation
you have
is.
to. Yeah.
You're like your body can physically adjust, mentally you can adjust. You just have to do it. And then there needs to be some motivating factor of why you're doing it.
Like
in a lot of cases, the money in order to sustain a lifestyle or whatever it is.
To pay rent and eat.
It's amazing how you just adapt to things when it's like, hey, I like food.
Yeah, I have
and
to
I
do
enjoy
this.
Shelter. So you're just
I'd rather not live with my parents at 37 years old. That'd be preferred.
That would be preferred.
I did move back in with them after I quit here for 6 months. And to be honest with you, it rocked.
Yeah.
My parents rock. It didn't. Yes, the whole like I'm 33 or whatever the hell I was at the time didn't feel great, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
I could make a sandwich with free food every day. That's when I watched the entire Marvel universe because I never watched it.
Okay.
Just woke up and watched movies all day.
I'm like, I'm going to go to Wakanda today.
This rocked.
And then I'm going to go into my parents' kitchen and eat a sandwich.
Yep. Thanks, Dad.
That's
He's got that Rotella steak twist.
I lived with my parents like right after college because I moved back to Columbus to work at the newspaper there. And
the Dispatch? That's Columbus, Ohio.
No, the Telegram.
The
so
Telegram.
Not terribly far from Dispatch. So it's one of those where I didn't want to pay rent and they didn't want me to pay rent because it was going to be, I wasn't making that much money. And so in order to save anything, I needed to live at home. And it was just weird because I worked a newspaper schedule that had me working until like 2 a.m. when we went to print.
Yeah.
And I had to sit around for West Coast box scores to put up on the Agate page back doing layout.
Man, we're older than I.
Yeah, I know.
Think.
Like I say these things and it's like,
we sound like old
I didn't
guys.
Like grow up without electricity, but you say it. And you're like, man,
I used to look up. Me and my dad used to play Guess the Line by looking it up in the paper on Thursdays or whenever the hell they came out, or the Monday the next day. Like,
right. So it's it was just like really odd because we didn't have that much crossover. And then when we did, it's like, well, what are you guys doing? Oh yeah, I live in your house.
That's right.
Okay, maybe that's
thanks for the shelter.
Maybe that's what that is here. Okay. Let's get into a little of Nebraska Media Day stuff from yesterday. I mentioned some of the headlines earlier. And by headlines, I mean more of just sort of the news they had to pass along from yesterday. I had some thoughts from basically Nebraska being up there. And one of the things that jumped out right away, Matt Rule has his opening statement and he talks about the players that were brought there and how Luke Lindenmeyer and Justin Evans were guys that were already on the team when he arrived and how he appreciated their buy-in to what they're doing and how they sort of exemplify what it is that he thinks they can continue to build here at Nebraska. As you look at Evans and Lindenmeyer, two guys that got to play early in their career and then turned it into being, I think, really quality starters. In the case of Justin Evans, probably the best player on the team. In the case of Luke Lindenmeyer, a guy that I think has even more value than what we have even seen to this point. And clearly they do too. So he says all of these nice things about these guys that are there and how it represents the conference as a whole, because you have Justin Evans from New Jersey and you have Andrew Marshall from California.
Nebraska's a national brand.
Well,
he was making a point.
He wasn't Nebraska. It was the Big Ten.
Yeah,
he was buttering up. He's like, this is what this conference is. We stretch from here to there. And, you know, I was listening to Bishop yesterday and he was talking about it. And he's like, it sounded like a stump speech in his opening statement. And it did. And when I went back and I listened, so they played the audio again. I should have had Joey.
I watched it last night.
And we could have played it and he might be able to find it here. But so he's saying all of this, and then he goes to throw it open to questions. And this is where, like, kind of how you know Nebraska has fallen to where they are.
Yeah.
There's like a long, people used to say it'd be a pregnant pause. I never understood really, and I still don't understand why that works the way that it does, but people would say
you're right.
But it was a pregnant pause.
Yeah.
And so there's this long pause.
See, when I heard
like
the pause,
Rule's kind of looking, and then he gets this like smirk on his
smiles,
face. And he's like, wow, nobody has a question. And you could tell he's working in his brain. He's about to make a joke. And then the moderator sees this too. And the moderator's like, Coach Rule, far back corner. Like he's just like trying to get him to hurry up and get the microphone to the person.
So that's what I assumed was happening when I watched it for the first time, was that someone had been called on and they were waiting for someone to walk the microphone to them. But then at the end, I mean, then there was only one other question.
Well, I think there was a total of 5 questions.
Oh, okay.
Like 4 or 5 questions. So the first one comes from Jake Bartecki, who's in the local media here in Nebraska. And he asked kind of about how Nebraska can fall in line with the success that other sports have had. And Matt Rule gives again, like, this is why he's good at this part of it. He gives an answer that, like, it's a question that there's nothing he can do with, right? Like, there's no such thing as the baseball team and the basketball team success having done anything
rubbing
for your football
off on
team.
you.
Like, it doesn't, you know, being around success can help inspire. And so,
or over time, get more money, whatever the case
Rule
is.
uses that perfectly. He refers to Fred Hoiberg as an inspiration. He then flips it to,
I get that. He's an inspiration to me too.
I think a lot of people are inspired by Fred Hoiberg. But he then flips it to a really nice sell job of like, student athletes at Nebraska are really well taken care of. Look at our great facility.
He said we have the best facilities in the country 5 or 6 times.
Which you might as well hammer that home because there's a very real chance they do have the best.
Yes.
Because nobody else is doing what they did, which is investing that money in facilities.
And you don't have, I don't want to say anything else, but you don't have we don't have the city of Chicago. Sure. We don't have beaches. We don't have
the sports team is the Nebraska, the University of Nebraska.
So that's your highest selling point.
And so he does like a really good job of flipping this. And then the next question, which I was surprised wasn't the first question, is about Dylan Raiola. And so it's just like he never really gets a chance to settle. It's just constantly like, well, there's nothing I can really talk about here. And now you're asking me about this quarterback. Well, you asked me about Dylan Raiola, who's gone. You asked me about Trey Taylor, who I can't talk about because he's not signed yet. Team. And then I have to turn this into, we knew Anthony Calandria was the guy when he
stepped out of the car.
And then I leaned over and I was like, well, no, right away. And it's like, you're probably not telling this story if you thought one of the other guys was the guy. But it just goes back to there's not a ton of interest in Nebraska, the football team at the moment. It's Matt Rule's thoughts on the playoffs. It's Matt Rule's thoughts on Dylan Raiola. It's Matt Rule's thoughts on Nebraska's success and why that's happening and the football team hasn't. So he had to like kind of work to position it.
Feels like he's more of an ambassador of the school than he is the coach. Not because he's a bad coach, just in the sense, like you said, that he didn't get the chance to talk about the team much.
There's just not interest in the team in the way there's interest in these other
How much of that is just the spirit of media days now? If you're not
a little bit is that
because and I think it's been this for a long time, and this is actually what I found more interesting. I didn't want to hijack the whole thing about media days and not talk about Nebraska, but it's always been about selling your conference, especially if the conference commissioner is up there and talking about it to an extent. But man, and I'll admit his 11 minutes up on the main stage was the only thing I saw. I've seen clips of Cignetti and Ben Lanning and a few other things, but I didn't watch every single guy. So I don't know how much was a lot like him. And he's always been pretty good at being a salesman up there, not necessarily derogatory. But man, did it just feel like a super scripted, we're the best and here's why, period. I mean, Cignetti did it. He did it in a more fun way when he's like, we don't whine, we're Midwestern, blah, blah, blah. Everyone loves that. I ate it up too. But like all these are a sales job for the conferences. And they're important. I'm interested in them, but like also
they are not important.
Man, I don't care.
You do not have to say media days are important. They serve exact purpose, and that's the intended purpose of it now. It used to be a way to publicize these are the best players and this is
here's what's going to happen with this team.
And, like way back when, and the first media days I ever covered was down in Arlington and for the Big 12. And it's like, you would go over and talk to Mike Gundy because Nebraska was playing Oklahoma State, or you would want to hear from Bob Stoops because one of the big home games that year is Nebraska is playing Oklahoma. And so, but now you go and there's very little reason to go spend a bunch of time with Kirk Ferentz because all that's going to be asked about are really granular questions about his off season or big picture questions where it's like, okay, Kirk Ferentz thinks this, but is Iowa really going to be affected by, whatever this, like
I'm just curious, like who it's because like the sales job makes it seem like they're recruiting.
Well, they're always recruiting,
but what 16, 17-year-old kid is watching media days?
They're not. So they're trying to.
They're just trying to get that message out.
Trying to project the confidence that they have in the program. Yeah. They're trying to project, what this could be going forward, and then they're basically there at the behest of the conference that needs them to pass along like everything's great over here. And
we have the best commissioner
right now for the Big Ten. It is, and so it's just what the purpose of media days was to what it is now. It's just like a big celebration of your conference.
It feels gross. It feels gross to me.
I love it.
It feels like a stockholder share meeting.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to put it.
Where it's just a bunch of guys there celebrating their success and their money and telling you how great they are.
The only thing missing is like Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, and a couple of those other guys doing their really weird, like, trying to get people fired up. Like that, that's what
it feels like, and that all that stuff seems smarmy. And this isn't a Matt Rule critique; it's just the media days in general.
Everybody.
It just feels smarmy.
They're all having to do it. Some other stuff that stood out. I mean, he did stand up and say, and I think this is valuable. He did stand up and say 7-6 is not nearly good enough at Nebraska, and I think it's important. It's objectively true. However, for this upcoming season, like you've now said this, and going 7-6 in the eyes of some people this year is going to be really difficult because they look at that schedule and they don't think that you've proven that you can beat some of those teams on there. So to me, it does a couple things. It acknowledges Nebraska hasn't been good enough yet under Rule, but it also sets this bar. And, seems like Rule expects that they go 8-4 at least. And he's kind of set that up himself.
I was going to
pointing
say,
out we went 5-7, then we went 6-6, then we went 7-5. So I think he's telling you as a fan, hey, we expect, not we hope to get to, because there's a difference. Like, when you expect something, 8-4 is your minimum.
Yeah.
If you hope to get somewhere, like I hope to make a lot more money.
I don't expect it.
No.
Yeah.
I every day. I hope to lose weight all the time.
I hope to have
Will
a Toyota Land Cruiser someday. Do I expect it? Probably not. I'd love a 67 Mustang.
That seems like a segment that we need to have at some point. What do you like? I have an opinion.
Yeah.
Like, what is? I have a hope.
Hope versus expectation. Yeah.
What is your hope this week? Maybe we work that in.
Yeah, and it's ballsy of him. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
As a fan of a team, I want my coach to be confident and be just be straight up with me, because he could also go up there and be, we expect to go undefeated. No, you don't.
Right.
So I appreciate the honesty, and just putting it out there, but it's ballsy because it's also been seen that he can be a little sensitive to the media. And if that doesn't happen, or it's looking like it's not going to happen, you got to be ready to take the heat for it, because you expected it and you said it without being asked.
I just appreciate that he's the one that did it. Like, it wasn't that it came from somewhere else, or that like we're going to have to go back, because it's very clear, like, you're putting this expectation.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, because the fan base isn't expecting 8-4, like the fan base is generally, dreading another 6-6 season. And that's where I think a lot of people are sort of at with it. If Nebraska goes 8-4, it's clear evidence to me that they've made strides as a program. And if you do accomplish that, or, somehow manage to go 9-3, it's hard for me to imagine a world better than 9-3. So I'm not even going to say. I'd be more
surprised
if think about it.
I'd be more surprised if I woke up with my head sewn to the carpet.
I mean, that's where we're at. That is where we're at. It's just to say, like, if it does occur, if they do go 8-4, he's going to earn a lot of like plaudits from people for at least putting that out there. Yeah. And then the team going 8-4, then the hype machine takes off at that point. Like, I think we're one sort of 8-4 season away from a lot of this, like, okay, he's got it incrementally figured out. And now it's time for a big jump, and they've got this. And
I also think that if that happens next offseason into the season, that is where Matt Rule will thrive.
Potentially.
You get him on a hype train. Like, I mean, he's created his own that doesn't exist. If you put him on one that is there,
he's always on an imaginary train of some sort with a bullhorn, letting you know that things are happening.
If he gets to actually ride one, he'll be riding high. It'd be fun to see. I mean, I want him to be good,
absolutely.
but also just be fun to finally watch. I want to see how he can do.
It would be nice to have an off season where there's like a substantive reason to think that things are headed in the right direction, instead of like, well, if you did this, and if that would have worked out, and if that would have worked out, and obviously they were good at this, you have to have
maybe not have 4 new assistant coaches that we're unsure about. Like, that'd be nice.
Well, if it would be nice to have some continuity. I don't know that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, even in the best of seasons.
Well, that's true. If they're good, then you're going to get poached.
I think you end up losing some people because of that. I also think good coaches, like, and good programs can sustain some of that because they build enough of their DNA of who they are, that a coach doesn't come in and change the DNA, he enhances it.
And a coach isn't going to feel like they have to come in if they do that after a season of 8-4, 9.
And if you go 8-4 and like Dana Holgerson's offense is clicking, then and Rob Orich's defense is clicking, then you're going to have your coordinators back, and that's kind of the bigger thing of it. Now, there's world where you can go 8-4 and your offense isn't clicking, I'm guessing, but just going 8-4 in itself seems like it would be.
At that point, if you're a Husker fan who cares about that, like, stop. If your team goes 8-4, take it. It doesn't matter how you got there.
Yeah. No doubt about it. All right, let's take a break here. When we come back, we will finally get to the Balls of Steel. We'll group a Friday. We'll talk about Washington, I believe. Joey, we confirmed We'll get you a Washington preview and then maybe a group of 5. Is there a group of 5, group of 6 team that you would love to discuss?
Ooh.
Is there just a random team? Maybe we just take the balls out of it. And if there's a team that's think about it,
I will.
Don't go away yet.
I bet there's
a team that you want
ones.
us to look up and discuss. We will do that next year on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back to Happer and Schaefer here, 7 o'clock hour, about halfway through it. I would like to invite those of you listening, if you are not on the stream or the app, if you're listening over there, are we in? Are we loud and clear?
Check 1, 2.
Can someone hear us over the air?
Check 1, 2.
If so, let us know some way, somehow. Text in if you're not driving. Call in if you are driving.
Or if you're good at texting and driving.
You know, well, I don't.
I'm kidding. That was mainly for Ian. Ian loves to text and drive.
Okay, Ian, if you are listening and driving and able to text at a stoplight, let us know if we're on the air right now. That's
Someone's
what we're
calling to let us know.
That's what we're trying to figure out. Joey is going to take this call. We'll find out.
Ian has a bit where he calls me if I don't answer and he's driving, and he'll leave me a voicemail and pretend like he got in a crash. Not like yell or anything, but like he'll just cut his voicemail on purpose to try to freak me out. So I'll call him back. He'll do it in a text sometimes too.
Incredible. He's
a weird guy. I like him.
Unique bit. It sounds like we're good. Sounds like we're on the air
Hello, Omaha.
Per Joey. So we're happy to be back on the air here. And I am happy to tell you about 1620 The Zone Golf Tournament, which is coming to the Metro. Join us for a day of competitive golf, great food, and live sports radio at one of Omaha's premier courses. Friday, August 21st at Miracle Hills Golf Course. Shotgun start at 8:30. After the tournament, so we'll get done probably sometime around 1-ish, you can head over to the Phoenix, located at 120th and Blondo. Official after party, food, drinks, fun. Team registration for the day be $400. So $100 a player, a 4-player team. Registration includes 18 holes of golf, exclusive player gifts handed out at check-in, complimentary food and beverages, and VIP access to the after party. Bring your A game to the par threes. You hit one par three. I assume, I don't know if this is all of the par threes are eligible for this, but you'll have a chance to take home $10,000 for a hole-in-one, proudly sponsored by our friends over at Langfelt Overhead Doors. Head to 1620thezone.com to register your team now. This event also sponsored by Cutwater and T-Box. Happer and Schaefer will be on the scene. Middays with Matt will be on the scene. I remember a time, Stibbs, when we were doing the 1620 Golf Flash, and you were out on the course with like a wireless microphone.
There's a lot of and I interviewed you and your friends.
Yeah, you interviewed us. I think ended up winning the tournament.
I think you did.
And that's when I won the Coke that then ruined my life, but not the Coke that people might think of that could ruin your life.
Coke ruined your life.
Yeah. And I love Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
so
just so you know, Tim.
Yeah.
Father, not because it's bad, because he loves Coca-Cola so much.
This door prize, and it was Coke for a year, and so I would go over to the wonderful Chesterman Coca-Cola here in Omaha, and they would load me up with Pib or with cherry Coke or vanilla Coke or
Mr. Pibb's back,
regular Coke or Mr. They're going back to Mr.
OG
Pibb.
Mr. Pibb is in the house.
They never should have gotten rid of it.
It's so good.
It is one of those names that's very, very nostalgic.
Yep. I don't know why you went to Pibb Extra.
Whatever happened to Dr. Slice, and why hasn't them been brought back yet? All the nostalgia that we have for everything 90s, and we still don't have Dr. Slice back in our life.
Fair.
Hard to believe. Really hard to believe. But anyways, I ended up getting this pop, and I had been off pop for like 5-6 years, and I was like, this can't hurt that bad. I'll give most of it away.
Yeah, I'll mix it with whiskey.
And I gave my dad probably 3 of the things of Diet Coke out of the 12 months. And then I gave away some like cherry Coke or some other stuff. I think these people were doing like a root beer float thing, and one of them I just got like a bunch of root
barks.
Beer and kept some of them for myself and gave the rest of them away. But I just ended up going back into drinking pop at that point, and now I'm just a fiend. I can't. I can go like days without having it. But this was literal years of not having pop.
Work to completion.
I use like random things. I would flavored water or Snapple was like a big substitute for me.
The thing that got me off it for like again, I drink it here and there. Diet
How
Coke.
did you? This is a segment. How did you get off of Coke?
I don't know how much my dad would like it. You should drink as much Coke as you want.
Absolutely, drink as much Coke. Do not snort.
But yeah, prefer if you're going to do one of them,
right?
Drink it.
Yeah.
But Snapple, Diet Snapple, raspberry iced tea. was the thing that
Okay.
I fell in love
For
with.
me,
And
it
it
was
was
the,
0 calories. It was like 1 gram of
Yep.
sugar. I was like, it was delicious.
Diet Snapple half and half. So it was like the Arnold Palmer, half tea, half lemonade.
I'm a sucker for Arnold Palmer. I drink them at work all the time.
Incredible. I would drink those and like
those Surfsides. Are you Surfside?
No,
guy?
I've not had a Surfside ever.
Dude, if you like Arnold Palmer's, the tea lemonade ones are incredible.
Okay.
And what I like about them is they're not carbonated.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of the seltzers give me crazy heartburn.
So
for
no
someone who
bubbles.
has no bubbles. And at first it's like, whoa, that's weird coming out of a can.
The guy was telling me this at a golf event on Monday.
It is the
He's
best
like, this
golf
is why
drink.
I drink it. There's no bubbles. I was like, I've never thought about bubbles. Like if
You
something
must
has
not have to-
bubbles.
you must have to worry about heartburn very often.
Not heartburn. The acid reflux occasionally will get me, or because I'm fat, GERD is a real thing.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing to me. That's what
I've never had it. Like, I don't get like the heartburn where it's just like you can feel it in your chest or whatever. I'll have like indigestion or something in other ways. Not often.
If I have 2 White Claws, I can feel my whole throat is burning. So, but Surfsides, game changer.
I'll have to try this. We'll have to look into Surfside, just like we are going to look into the University of Washington in honor of the city of the day being Seattle. So we go to pick 6 previews, and I have to figure out which team Washington would be here.
They're the Huskies.
They're the Huskies. Okay, I'm trying to find the exact page. And do they go before Penn State? Where does pick 6 have them?
How is it grouped by?
Okay, I'm gonna have to
where they prediction.
Yeah, does he have?
Maybe we should have done this while we were
low. Yeah, this is something this is
while we were
radio.
talking crap during the commercial break.
Okay, he has Washington tied with Penn State, but every time I try to go to that page, it just jumps from Michigan to Penn State to Iowa. Is there a flaw in this?
Who would you say
is there not a Washington in this?
Washington's most famous football alum,
Joel McHale.
Well, he's not. Did he play football?
He did.
Did he really?
He was a walk-on tight end at
No
Washington.
way.
Like
you win then. He's got to be the most famous.
1991 or 1992, something like that.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I did know he was a Seattle guy.
I learned about this and was just floored by it. It was around the time that I was transfixed by Community that I learned this fact. And that's probably when Joel McHale was at its biggest.
Probably. I loved the soup.
Yeah, no, I did too.
I thought he was
just
hilarious.
enjoyed Joel McHale.
But
But Community is where it's went from
definitely got
this guy's kind of funny to he's
running his own show.
He's doing this thing. Who else from Washington?
What just like a pro that went to the NFL? Who do you think would be? Wasn't there a quarterback that was really good?
Well, why I'm like drawing a blank.
I know that's why I asked, because like I can picture old.
I can too, and then suddenly, I mean Jake Locker, but he didn't have like a good career.
Warren Moon.
Okay.
Michael Penix Jr.
That's okay. That's obviously the
I was
one
thinking of some older. There's Mark Brunell.
Okay.
None of these are hitting. Jake Browning. Marquise Tuiasosopo.
That's another name, but he didn't have a good career.
No, he didn't. But
I'm trying to. Brock Heward was
he
the guy.
related to the Mariner who was a Tuiasosopo?
I don't think so. Maybe, but
can't be that many Tuiasosopos out there.
There's probably relation, but I don't know that it's like
a brother. Yeah.
There's
a famous Mike Blowers during a game in Tuiasosopo's first season predicted that in the inning on a 3-1 count on a fastball that Tuiasosopo would hit his first major league home run to left field in the second deck, and he got all of those things correct except for missed the second deck by a foot.
Wow. And
it's one of the coolest calls of any home run.
So how far in advance of the home run call was this?
It was pregame.
Oh.
He predicted this it was his player to click.
That's wild. All right, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read this outlook on Washington, and then we'll jump over to this phone call from Ronald. I believe we have on over here. So hang tight, Ronald. We'll be with you in just a second. Washington ranked in the top 20 on both sides of the ball last year, number 15 in game grader, and did so of a young lineup. Now they return as a veteran 2 deep and join a crowded field of contenders for a Big Ten title spot. Damon Williams is the X factor. He's my 3rd team all Big Ten selection. If he can start to shine against ranked teams, Washington can unlock a higher tier. Damon Williams famously was the quarterback that wanted to go into the portal to go to LSU and didn't because Washington threatened to sue him because he had just signed paperwork to stay at Washington like a day and a half before. They have patched all of this up. We will see how it goes for Jedd Fisch. Their schedule is manageable for the most part. They're at USC. That's one of their big games. And they have Indiana and Oregon. So you have USC, Indiana, Oregon. Indiana is at home. So you get that game at home late November. And then that Oregon game, like they could be the last real threat for Oregon. They come to Nebraska on Halloween.
You say that's a home game, right?
There's a home game for Nebraska. It's a huge game for Nebraska. Washington lost to Wisconsin. They lost when they went east last year.
I was going to say
they won their home games and they beat bad teams for the most part, but then they lost to Wisconsin.
One thing about being in that part of the country and now not having conferences of teams that are close to one another is that travel is rough. As a Mariners fan, it's something where you pay attention. Like there is no team anywhere near that corner.
No,
like they have to travel, and Nebraska's not close. It's not the farthest they'll have to travel probably, but that's not an easy trip.
And it's going to be an environment that should be pretty raucous. And we'll see if they do something with the jerseys for that one. All right, we have on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, Ronald, what's going on?
Gentlemen, I believe Warren Moon went to Washington, but I wanted to share a point, and then I wanted to share something that I was disappointed in our coach Rule.
One
point, last year we were like 100 and stopping the run almost last or whatever. So I hope that our linebackers will get the opportunity in like a regular 4-3 or whatever. And, you know, if they happen to make tackles or be in position to make tackles, I believe we can beat, you know, like an Iowa, a Washington or USC, because it's like we did everything okay. Of course, whoever got the ball just never stopped running. We never made a tackle.
Right.
And then the thing that I wanted to share about Matt, our coach, we got a young and up-and-comer sportscaster in that Lauren Michaels little lady, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's talking to him yesterday, and he's acting like he's on the red carpet. He didn't stop. I'm like, look, this young lady is one of ours. If it's somebody from another beat writer, another organization, another town or whatever, this is one of ours. And he just kept walking. She did the interview, but I'm like, come on, dude. Stop and give her.
Man, I missed this.
Lauren?
Yeah. Listen to her interview with him, and he's just walking, going up and down the escalator or whatever. I'm like, and she's doing her part, but I'm like, man, come on, dude. This is one of ours. I'll go ahead and hang up and listen.
Well, I appreciate it, Ronald.
I did see the video of this. I didn't think anything of that. I kind of assumed it was a plan. Wasn't that a thing of his that he did early on when he was here? His walk and talks from the field.
Yeah, I don't know if he did it with media people or if he just did it on his own. Like
that's kind of where my mind went. Was it was just like an ode to like that, or he had to be. So I didn't think anything of it like him having to run.
Did she put it out there?
She posted it, and because the reason I saw the video. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but she put in the tweet that she was like, props to Andy Kendi for riding the escalator.
Yeah, Noah
backwards.
Noah Sacco made a comment about the Diet Coke consumption kind of making a difference.
All right,
for that walk.
We're gonna have to talk to Lauren about this. I'm gonna have to during the break. I'm gonna watch.
She killed it. She nailed it.
Yeah, it's on.
That's
it's
not
on,
a big spread.
It's on
no, she's good.
Yeah, it's out there on KTV.
Okay, we'll have to check that out. I will.
I did not. Again, I didn't hear it. I didn't think too much into it. I did not. My first instinct wasn't, wow, how rude of Matt Rule not to stop and talk to Lauren.
Yeah.
And I doubt Lauren would probably say that even if she thought it, but because she's too nice.
No, you never know. You never know what Lauren's going to say.
Yeah, but
you never know if she's going to drop a swear word.
It didn't come across as rude to me, and I'm someone who sometimes looks for that in that rule. So
as Ronald mentioned in the first part of his call, and I appreciate Ronald calling in on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. He was talking about tackling, and one of the big differences of where Nebraska's kind of gone backwards, even though the program has won more games, they were a better tackling team in 23. They were a better tackling team, it felt like, in 24 than they were in 25. That is something that has to get shorn up.
Yeah.
And some of it is just being in position. Like they were bad in run fits last year, so you're in the wrong gap, wrong hole, you're hitting the wrong spot, you're not as likely to make the play. They also just didn't get guys to the ground. Like he mentioned, maybe you beat an Iowa and Iowa ran away with it. But in 2024, you beat an Iowa if you just get, Caleb Johnson out of bounds and he doesn't have the one offensive play that they had the entire game. In 2025, you beat Michigan, you beat USC if you tackle better. Yeah. So Ronald's point is 100% accurate in my mind. They have to be a better tackling team. It's one thing that the guys up front have to do better and keep your linebackers clean and get guys in position to make success. When you are in position to get the ball carrier to the ground, Nebraska has to be better at it. Like they were really, really poor last year. They were poor at times in 2024. And one of the things that they were absolutely lauded over, especially in the first 8 to 10 games in 2023, and it was really the whole season, was their ability to gang tackle and get multiple guys rally to the ball.
When's the last time you felt confident, or not confident's not the right word. When's the last time you were?
The last time I felt confident was just before the start of Nebraska, Iowa, and Houston.
Okay.
And then that was, I will never be confident ever again.
You were very confident. You were even more confident.
Well, the way it started, then I was like, look at me.
The night after Vanderbilt.
Nostradamus instead of Nostradum,
When we talked to you on the couch, you were the most confident man I've ever heard in my life. Jack still talks about that. But when's the last time you were at the end of a season thought that was a great tackling Nebraska team?
In 2023, they were really good at it. Like they were really, really good. And before that, it would have been probably somewhere in the Pelini era.
That was
somewhere where it involves Levante David.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
So, which is unfair. There were teams that tackle fine in between there.
Yeah,
2023.
When you're used to seeing that guy go sideline to sideline and make every stop.
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible.
All right, we did not get to USF.
Sad.
Maybe we'll have an opportunity a little bit later. We are going to get to the headlines with Joey next year on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back into Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer here. Connor Happer out. Michael Stibbs in.
Which Mike S am I? Am I like the sixth?
No,
Mike S?
so it started with Severe, and then Mike
Mikers
Sauter.
now.
No, actually, it started with Mike Snow,
Yes,
then
Mike Snow.
Severe, then or was it?
It was Mike Snow first.
Snow was first. Then
Then
I
it
think
was-
Severe was in for me.
Yes, Severe was
and then
second.
Sauter was in a week later for Happer.
Yep.
And then now you're the fourth. You were the fourth Mike S.
But then-
Technically fifth behind me.
But haven't there been other MSs? Has Mitch filled in?
Mitch Sherman has not filled in.
Okay. For some reason I thought there was another MS.
That is Happer should see if Mitch would. They could
Yeah,
do a
he's-
show/podcast
gonna say,
crossover.
We know they have pretty good
They could call it Locked On Happer and Schaefer.
there you go.
That could be fun.
Anyways, that's a lot of Mike S's for one show. It's
It's
kind of crazy.
Incredible.
But as we were talking about before the show started,
Very.
he asked me
common
my middle name, Schaefer did, which is Carson. And I mentioned I wish that was my name growing up because I grew up in grade school with like 8 other Mikes, and my whole grade school career was
name.
Mike
Was
S.
one of them Snow? You guys are around the
no,
same age.
he knew my sister though.
Because so he's
Or
a
she knew
little
him or
younger than you.
Correct. Yeah. My sister's 2.5 years younger than me. I think they were either the same grade or close.
Okay.
They knew each other somehow, I think.
I know that you are both proud alums
Hell yeah.
of Scott.
Cheer, cheer for Scott Catholic High. Never give up. Never say die.
All right, Joey, what do we got today with our headlines?
Okay, first headline was from yesterday, but we did not get to the story Connor really wanted
Seems like
to.
you really want me to take this.
Rotten fish sauce that has long stunk up a small Canadian town is finally being removed.
Okay, well, we spent the whole break talking about Canada, so it does feel like this is going to be what we've been.
And then quickly, headline number 2 is a book found brick in a fireplace is returned to an Australian library. 150 years overdue.
I like the library book stories, but we've done a few of those. Let's
do
get to
too.
the stinky sauce. Sweet. So stinky sauce comes to us from the AP. Rotten fish sauce that has long stunk up small Canadian town is finally being removed. Vancouver, British Columbia, the townspeople of St. Mary's can breathe a sigh of relief. They're finally getting rid of the foul smell of rotten fish that has for years, when the wind blows their way, wafted over their tiny community in Canada's easternmost province. And the culprit for the unpleasant odor that has vexed a picturesque town of about 300 people in Newfoundland and Labrador, about 110 tanks that were left behind, each holding 3,000 gallons of fermented fish sauce when Atlantic Seafood Sauce Company was abandoned more than 20 years ago. The place was left to ruin. Windows got broken. The roof blew off. A January storm knocked out a wall. Sauce kept on fermenting as the bacteria did their job, and the townspeople could smell it. St. Mary's volunteer mayor, Steve Ryan, said it's hard to describe just how bad the smell was. The worst rotted fish you'd ever smell in your lifetime times 100, he told the Associated Press by phone on Wednesday. As crews kicked off a major cleanup operation at the dilapidated plant this week, Ryan watched with mixed feelings. It's a big relief, describing the town's lengthy crusade to get the provincial government to fund the cleanup. The federal government has not contributed to the cost, he said. That kind of makes me a little bit mad. Ryan, who worked briefly at the factory before graduating high school in 1990, every door we came into was just closed in our face. They forgot about us. Over the next few months, workers will drain the vats of left behind fluid and mix it with peat moss, which will absorb the liquid, he said. So basically just what's this going to cost? Costs about 1.7 Canadian dollars, so 1.2 real dollars. 1.2 million. Yeah,
No, yeah,
I
no,
should
no.
say, not just 1.2.
I-
That would be amazing. $1.20 can pay for 1.7 million in Canada.
to say what
That
took so
is
long.
An incredible exchange rate. Let's move to Canada. So
That sounds like it sucks for that.
yeah,
town.
no,
It
there's-
seems ridiculous that it took how long?
20
say
years.
shut down.
20 years it just
That's
fermented.
ridiculous.
Fermenting, it smells horrible anyways.
I get not getting federal governments. I don't know. I feel like you didn't have to wait 20 years to get this done in
Yeah,
some capacity.
An official should be forced to come out and have to stand there and smell it for at least 45 minutes and then go to a vote. I think if that were to have happened, this all would have gone.
And the
smooth.
things that the Canadian government does fund,
Right.
I mean, we were talking about some of their shows and movies at the break, like you said, they fund a bunch of that. Like the Canadian government funds a ton of entertainment stuff.
Yeah. No, so
maybe they should focus on helping their towns.
They can entertain and they can get rid of the smells up in Canada. Do a better job, please, Canadian government.
Try that in Sioux City.
Absolutely. We will be back here on Happer and Schaefer, 8 o'clock hour next. Welcome back here on Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer in the number one chair, though I'm sitting in my usual chair. The number one chair is actually filled by Stibbs. I guess I could let you have been the host today.
No, I don't want to do that.
I don't really need anything over there. Like, I'm not a drops guy. I'm not like
Yeah, and I was excited about having that here, but I don't want to mess with Joey's thing. And I don't know. I'd have to change to like my old wall, and I'd throw him off.
God, you guys are dumb.
Yeah, we don't want to throw Joey off. So Bing bong! I'm comfortable letting Joey cook, and if he wants to play drops, he can play drops.
I do miss drops.
Horse crap call.
You know, like it doesn't affect me one way or the other.
What?
So there's nothing I really need over here.
No.
And I kind of like sitting here. So
what do you need other than sustenance, though?
Well, in life, what do I need?
Yeah.
Usually need a little bit of guidance. Otherwise, just left on my own, just could spin and spiral completely out of control.
I've done that. Yeah.
It's something that tethers you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
That's fair. I could use that.
I think we all could. Well, you know who probably doesn't actually need it because he's just sort of self-tethered or whatever. It'd be Curt Cignetti, who was fantastic yesterday, at least to me, when he was just assaulting every BTN question that was being thrown his way while sitting at their desk after having a pretty interesting session up front where he worked in a few shots at our friends in the SEC, and basically like Curt Cignetti has absolutely made himself a unforgettable college football personality. It's great.
He's going to have an incredible career in the WWE whenever his coaching career is
absolutely
over.
Like that's how I view him.
Heel.
He's really good.
He's not even a heel, but he's
cutting
good at
promos.
Yeah,
and he's very comfortable with who he is. And I think that's like the biggest singular thing about Curt Cignetti. I don't think any of his success comes if he's not incredibly comfortable with who he is and confident with what he's doing.
He's so good at the promo cutting that he is the type of guy and coach that I feel like I should hate, that I would hate. He's good, and you're always, if you're not the best, you're trying to take down the best. The reason everyone hated Belichick and Brady and whoever else. So he's the type of guy that, in my mind, I should dislike. He's so hard to dislike.
Yeah.
He's like, I want to hate his confidence and his cockiness and his, but he
backs it up.
He's right. And the way he does it, it doesn't come off as cocky.
Right.
He's very good at towing that line of just confidence. Now, if you dislike the guy or you're a fan of a rival, like you're going to say he's cocky and you hate him. But man, he seems like the type of guy I would dislike, and I can't dislike him. He's also funny. Like when he cuts these promos, he's right. He's confident, and he's usually and he's funny without being corny or without being over the top or trying to be funny. He's just funny because he's himself. Like,
so as an example, yesterday he gets asked when he's on this set, and I don't know if it was Jake Butt or if it was Jerry DiNardo or
former Bronco
Dave Reston, but he gets asked like, "Hey, are you going to vote for captains?" And he's like, "No, we never vote for captains." And they're kind of like, "Well, why don't you vote for captains?" He's like, "Why would I let my team vote for a guy?" And then he's out there, and it just turns out he's one of our captains, but he's just a turd of a human. He's like, "So I will pick the captains. I know." He's like, "You know who the captains are.
Yeah.
You go into a locker room or you're around a team long enough, you know who the leaders are. I don't need a vote from my team telling me who they think is popular. I need the guys that can lead us." And it's just like, you would have thought like Jerry DiNardo is just floored by this. And just their reaction to it. There was a moment yesterday where he starts making fun of Dave Rebson because David asked him a question that Cignetti was told was off the record last year when they had like this sit down before their camp tour. And then like Dave apparently said it on air, and it wasn't like a big deal, but it was one of those, he's like, "Oh, so is this something you're just going to tell everybody when it's supposed to be off?" And so he was just on fire yesterday, like sort of cutting jokes and just being, himself.
Yeah. Which is very also it's very easy to do when you're coming off of a national championship.
You went 16-0. It's the time to do it.
Yeah.
It's also like he works as kind of the opposite of sort of how serious some people take the media days thing and their role as
I was criticizing that earlier in the show.
Whatever they are. Yeah. And he's just like, "Hey, we're here to promote who we are and what we've done. And we're not really here to talk about the fact we won a national title because it's a different team, it's a different season. It's all these different things. And so because of that, he's just super, super comfortable with who he is. I think that's like one of those endearing qualities when you can tell someone is comfortable with who they are, and then he's successful. And so that makes him stand out.
Yeah.
And I think unlike a lot of the coaches, and one of the differences with Curt Cignetti is he's up there, he's not selling you on anything because he doesn't care whether you're going to buy it or not.
Correct, because he's just going to prove it to you.
Because it's like
he doesn't have to.
He's not selling, he's telling. He's telling you what is going to happen.
Even before
we're
this
going
year.
to be good.
Yeah.
This is why we're going to be good. Here's why I know it, because we're going to be good. Because everything we do has a purpose. Everything we do has a result. I make sure the purpose leads to the result that I want. This is the background of how I've gotten here. These are the people that have worked with me to do it. This is the level of success we've had. So why wouldn't we be confident in who we are?
You know who else did that?
Gandhi?
Probably Scott Frost when he first got here.
Yeah. I mean, so
that just is an interesting
and you
opposite of
right.
like you have to have that confidence. This is a guy who just
I don't think you can be a head coach if you're not confident in who you are and what you're doing.
But that said, and I don't think that someone like Matt Rule isn't confident, but like when you see these coaches get up there and kind of like sell, it is kind of like, what do you like? Pump the brakes a little. We're on your side, man. You don't have to sell us. Like I don't know. There's a big difference there. I did love his quote. I saw he was just like standing in the lobby, so I don't even know who the reporter was. It was probably BTN again because it was on camera. But someone asked him, now that you got the target on your back, like how's the season going to be different? And I think his response was just, we bought a bigger gun. Which is just he didn't even crack a smile. Like he's just like he's witty. That's an example of him being funny without trying. Like I don't think he was even trying to be funny. That was the first thing that popped in his head.
Yeah, it's just one of these things too, where I mean, he just kind of he understands what his role is too. He understands kind of why the Big Ten is where it's at, and I think where the SEC is where it's at. And he kind of goes on to talk about it, and he fires a shot across the bow of the SEC about why things seem to be going well inside the Big Ten Conference. And I think it's because there's a ton of respect of being able to win a game in the Big Ten is difficult because each team, even the not good teams, present their own challenges, and whether it's logistical challenges or actual, on-field challenges or whatever else. And it's not, it doesn't happen by just talking about it. And I think some of what is impressive about Indiana is that, Cignetti would get up and talk, and he'd create kind of this bubble or target, and he would be the target. And people are like, what is this guy talking about? You're at Indiana. So his team could just do their thing.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of represents the Big Ten. Like, it's not a super big talking conference. Usually it has gotten that way lately.
Yeah.
But relative to the SEC, which is pitted against all the time, they're always talking about something, usually about nothing of real relevance.
Yeah.
But they're always talking about this or that or whatever. And in the Big Ten, a lot of it is like, you got to show your work.
Which is what's great about his Midwestern quote of
and
like, hey, here in the Midwest,
we
don't whine, cry. We just say we didn't do it.
This is basically kind of him summing up the Big Ten versus the SEC. It's hard to win on the road. Very physical football teams, very well coached. It definitely prepares you for the playoff. No doubt about it. The numbers speak for themselves. The Big Ten is the best league in football, Cignetti said at Big Ten Media Days. We don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. We believe everything's earned, not given. And when we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry a river, whine, and complain. That's why we're the best. And I think there's a real element to that. Like,
absolutely.
Ohio State lost to Miami, and it hasn't been this whole like,
their conference did
the way off, and it was,
we had to play harder stuff.
Right.
We had to travel an extra 10 miles. He's right. I mean, he's right. Because that is one of my least favorite things about college football lately.
Right.
Is the politics of it all. And that falls into that is the whining from the SEC. And it's not just the SEC. They're the worst at it because everyone hates them.
They're the loudest at it, and they have the loudest bullhorn with ESPN being part of their conference.
But yeah, I agree with them. It is annoying.
Right.
Just go out there and play football.
Well, and that's what people want you to effectively do. You're out there to put on the football product, not to politic for why, even though you lost the game, you're actually better than the team that you lost to.
Yeah.
Which is half of the end of season arguments that occur for who the 11th or 12th or whatever team it is. So it's just kind of a breath of fresh air. And again, I agree. This is why Cignetti, I think, stands out for some of us. And I understand there's people that don't care for him. Like I totally get that there's a brash arrogance to it that some people are just never going to get past.
And I like that he doesn't care.
I don't think it's unearned, so I don't care. I agree. I appreciated, I didn't grow up with Muhammad Ali, but I appreciated that this was a guy who was so confident in what he could do and often was backing it up that, he's earned the ability to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it also makes when the fall happens, the schadenfreude of that, so this leads up to this October 10th game of Nebraska and Indiana. If you get to the point, Stibbs, where Nebraska starts the season 5-0, so that's 3-0 in your non-con because they should go 3-0 in their non-con. If they don't go 3-0 in their non-con, throw everything else out the window.
Not happening.
Big Red Overreaction is canceled. It can't be good. So if you don't start, and then your 2 conference games before it, you got a tricky game against Michigan State where you go on the road against a team that you don't really know what they're going to be. And then a tricky home game against Maryland, who's a lot better than when you just see Maryland on the schedule. Mm-hmm. And frankly, you should have lost to when you were out in Maryland last year. And so, getting to 5-0 is not going to be a cakewalk for Nebraska by any means. Indiana, a better setup for it. They have their own 3 terrible non-conference games. And then they play, I don't know exactly who it is, but it's not like a slew of teams where, they have an opportunity to really lose their conference games before they play Nebraska. I got it here are Northwestern and Rutgers. So they should be 5-0.
Yeah.
So there's this world where Nebraska's 5-0 and Indiana's 5-0. And you have Nebraska trying to get back to prominence. Indiana's trying to continue. They've won their last 21 games at this point. 16-0 in 2025 and 5-0 to start 2026. And they would be coming to Lincoln, Nebraska, ranked likely in the top 5. The opportunity in front of Nebraska would be enormous. Now, as we often know, and this has been the case for Nebraska, they have not put their best foot forward, but it's one of these things where, like, this is what you want. We talk all the time about the schedule being so hard and Nebraska plays 3 teams in the top 10. I cannot imagine that there's a player at Nebraska right now that doesn't want a world where they get an Indiana team that's a top 10 team coming into Lincoln to play that game. And that they're the former defending national champions. But should you somehow slay the giant, should you defy the odds, I mean, it would be the biggest win Nebraska's had in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, the comparable game would be like Michigan State 2015, but even that was the end
of the game.
Yeah. I mean, that's the last win
Husker
against
game
the top
I went to.
10 team.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. The reason that Nebraska's not winning is
someone wants to buy me tickets to the Indiana game.
We'll look into it. If Nebraska's 5-0, we'll see if someone.
It reminds me of I was just trying to look up. It wasn't 16, but it was a Riley year with Tommy, where it was the last time Nebraska was probably in the top 10. They had a super easy
Wisconsin
schedule
on the road,
and then they played Wisconsin.
Yeah,
and everyone kind of knew.
Well, I think the thing was the winner of that is going to win the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
And so, like, if Nebraska just wins that game and they lose to Ohio State in the subsequent week, okay, you lost to one of the best teams in the country, but you just won. You basically are going to win the Big Ten West.
Yeah.
You lose that game in overtime to Wisconsin, where they have the missed extra point. And so if you score a touchdown, you're going to effectively win on an extra point. They don't win that game, and then they go out to Columbus, Ohio, and they lose 62-3. And then from that point forward, Tommy Armstrong's hurt. You're playing with Riker Fife. You beat Minnesota and Maryland at home. And then you go on the road, and it's the famous bloodbath game.
I just remember the vibes going into that. Like, obviously, there was excitement and there was opportunity, but for the most part, everyone knew they probably weren't going to, like, they were, that they didn't deserve the number that was next to their name, is like, basically what I kind of remember thinking.
I think I have this right, but Scott Frost and UCF, who went undefeated the following year in 2017, were never as high in the college football playoff poll as Nebraska was the year before in 2016. I think I have that correct, which is why the whole, like, system was sort of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because of a team that ultimately finishes what they were at like 9-4 that year. And they finish, with this or in October, you have one loss and you're higher than a group of 5 team that's undefeated that would ultimately beat Auburn in the Peach Bowl. Like it's just that shouldn't happen. And so that's why that system kind of had to change.
But to take it back to that Indiana game,
right?
If both of those teams are going into 5-0, going in at 5-0, the reason I brought that up is because to me, it's going to feel like fool's gold a little bit for like not that they shouldn't be 5-0, but I'm not going into that game
ranked.
I'm not 5-0. I agree.
Like, so it's
I'm not going into that game thinking like there's a top 10 matchup. Like it's not.
But you are going into this game with a hell of an opportunity.
Absolutely. And I mean, you're the best you can be at that point, winning all of your games. Right. So you're as confident as you could possibly be going into that game at home. Do we play is game day there bit?
They too early. Be. I don't have Josh Peterson's encyclopedic knowledge.
What
of
other
the
games?
Schedule is.
Yeah.
And I don't think Joey would have that because I don't think he locks in on college football in the same way.
Yeah.
If I asked him what week 5 in the NFL was, he'd probably rip off 4 matchups for me. But so there's a possibility that game day
because then that brings in. Unfortunately, that's brought more pressure than it has excitement.
Right,
half the time,
college football world would then be paying attention to what's happening in Lincoln, and like this is what you want.
Correct.
And as much as it's like, oh yeah, they might get curb stomped again, you would rather get the opportunity to be curb stomped when you're 5-0 against a 5-0 Indiana than just be an also ran game on the way to Indiana's latest.
Then play that game at 11 and have no on ESPN news.
Like it's there is definitely a world where Nebraska is playing in a super, super meaningful game early in the season, whether they can make it count or have even more meaning, or if it's like the last time these teams played where they went out to Indiana and got absolutely boat raced and looked like they didn't belong on the field, remains to be seen. But it's all to say, like, this is Curt Cignetti's world, and we're all just kind of living in it right now. And I am really, really fascinated what the third year of Curt Cignetti in Indiana looks like.
Other than his confidence and swagger and humor and whatever else you want to call it, what if you had to pick something of his actual like coaching style or philosophy or whatever, what has worked so well with him? The biggest thing I've read that is so different than others, which maybe is the practice time, that they practice so much less than most teams do. Because it does feel like he has figured something out that no one else has. There's got to be something. And that's the only difference I've heard.
I think his advanced preparation just has to be off the charts. Incredibly good. Like it's stuff like they knew the play that Oregon was going to run on the first play of the game. So you pick that off and you run it in for a touchdown. Yeah. There's things that I think he sees on film that sets it up. But there's also the way that they have built this team, this powerhouse, is through efficiency. And whatever it is that has allowed him to streamline their offense, that you can just swap in a different quarterback and things don't really change. Now, some of that is you got to be really good up front and you have to be consistent with what it is that you're doing. But they figured it out. And then the fact that, like, to a man, all of those guys, you're at Indiana and you just believe that you're as good as anything that lines up across from you. Like,
which is crazy to say.
That's amazing
in Indiana. Yeah. Like D'Lo says in YouTube, discipline culture. Like, yes, of course. But my question is like how every coach wants to institute both of those things. He successfully did it. So like there's a difference. How did he do that at a place like Indiana? It's intriguing to me.
Right. And they have the belief that they're absolutely as good. It's why, watching Nebraska play Michigan in January of last year in basketball, and it's like, I know in my head Nebraska is not a top 5 team in the way that Michigan is a top 5 team. And yet they are both a top 5 team. And now Nebraska doesn't have Rink Mast, and they're still in this game because of this internal belief. Like they felt like they could compete in that game.
They didn't have Frager either, right?
Most people went into it were thinking like, yeah, they'd be pretty fortunate if they stay within 10.
Mm-hmm.
And
they kind of should. I don't want to say should have because yes, it was Michigan, but they had every opportunity.
Right. Yeah, they could have won that game. They absolutely could have won that game. And so it's always just incredible when you watch a team like reach that kind of they extend past what, conventional wisdom says that they can do. And some of it is the labels that you apply on these things. We're talking Nebraska basketball and Indiana football. The duration of we're 2 men in our 30s. the duration of our lives are these teams not being very good.
Yeah.
You talk to someone about Indiana football, and it's basically Antoine Randall L.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised.
And the difference is there is that and this isn't a slam on Fred, like it took him a little while, whereas Curt walked in and did it immediately, which is even more insane.
The idea of it is just like the totally flip conventional.
And that half of those players that you were saying, and you're right, come in and just believe they can beat anyone, came from James Madison.
And so that's a part of it, is he had that system and he brought the system with him. And so you get the guys that this is what we're going to do. So you have a bunch of examples of this is what it should look like. This is the type of effort that you're going to have to be putting in. Everybody else has to catch up with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there's something to be said. Like, they play those 3 non-conference games against nobodies. Well, they work out a lot of who they are in those games. And then they take that and they transpose it against better teams.
Yeah.
And that allows you to just absolutely whip Illinois, a week after they just beat USC.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it just tells you he's really, really good coach.
Yeah.
All right.
He's impressive.
Let's go from talking about one really good coach that has kind of a brash arrogance about him to another, as we will have Parker Gabriel join. He works for the Denver Post. He covers the Denver Broncos. We can talk about Sean Payton, the Denver Broncos, and how they follow up last year's big year with pretty challenging AFC West.
Yeah.
You now have the target on your back.
Maybe the toughest division in football.
Bo Nix going to be just ready to go?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
All of these things we'll talk about with Parker Gabriel when we return on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back in on Happer and Schaefer here. It is about 8:30 in the morning, and we are going to the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline and talking to good friend Parker Gabriel of the Denver Post. Parker, how are we doing today?
We're doing great. How are you guys doing? It's nice to be here.
Hi, Parker. Very good.
We have Michael Stibbs here. He's excited to talk Broncos. I don't even know if I'll even get questions in.
I hope you have some.
I definitely have some.
I'm coming from the fan side of things, so my questions aren't going to be super poignant.
Parker will be happy to answer them. Parker, how have you been? What's the latest in your life since we don't get to talk to you as much?
I know. Yeah, no, I'm been great. It's been a good summer. It always goes by too fast. So we're headlong into training camp stuff, and boy's 18 months old, so pretty crazy. Been running around all summer, but yeah, we've been rolling.
Have you had any good breakfast burritos lately? Last time I saw you, we enjoyed a great breakfast burrito.
There's good breakfast spots in Denver.
That was at Bonfire, huh?
That was at Bonfire.
Yeah, there's other ones around for sure. More in Golden, honestly. Like
is that the breakfast burrito capital of the Denver suburbs?
Of the western Denver suburbs, Golden must be the breakfast burrito capital.
I love that for Golden.
I need to get that on the sign.
I love Golden just in general. Great place.
It's where Coors is, right?
That is where Coors is.
Yeah,
that's part.
That might be why you like it.
That might be part of it. That might be
one of my friends referred to Coors as my local macro, which I really like.
That is a great. I mean, I can't use that, but that is fantastic. I guess
yeah. I've been using that since.
It's regional.
My regional macro. That kind of works. It's
is it regional? They're literally in the Rocky Mountains. Maybe not.
Speaking of things where we're not sure, how good it can be. What do you think the follow up to last year is for Bo Nix? He's coming off of this injury. He had a great season with Denver's record. He had a good season statistically as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the challenge, and it's funny because anyone who's not just clearly bad or clearly among the very best in the NFL, you always have this conversation.
Yeah, it's the Kirk Cousins corollary.
Yeah, it's the Kirk Cousins conversation. It's the Brock Purdy conversation. Yep. I mean, heck, it's the Jalen Hurts conversation, even though he's won a Super Bowl and they're knocking on the door every year. And all
but did he really win it?
Exactly.
Did the defensive line win it, Parker?
I mean, that's sort of become the conversation with Bo Nix a little bit. Obviously, he hasn't accomplished as much as I suppose any of those guys at this point. He's earlier in his career than the ones I just mentioned, but he's won a ton of games and he led 7 fourth quarter comebacks last year, and his numbers on early downs and early in games weren't very good. So I think the challenge for him is if he takes a big step, and it's interesting, Davis Webb, who was his quarterback coach and now is the Broncos offensive coordinator and primary play caller, told me last year in camp, he said, I think the year 2 jump is overblown for quarterbacks and that the real jump usually comes in year 3, which now, fast forward a year, seems very interesting. Bo Nix will, we'll see how that looks this year, but he's got Jalen Waddle at his disposal. He's got a really good offensive line. He should have a good running game. They've got a very good defense, although it has a couple of question marks. It's a team built to be good around Bo Nix, and then Bo Nix, also needs to be good, and he's capable of that.
Parker, coming in on Bo again, your colleague Luca Evans mentioned that he's focusing on his quick release this July. Is that something you've noticed? And is there a lot of talk about his ankle? How's he coming off the injury?
Oh yeah, there's so much talk about his ankle. So that's sort of been the enduring storyline of the offseason, and not least because it was originally framed as a 4 to 6 week recovery and he was going to be fine. And then he had the follow-up procedure to address bone spurs and some other stuff in there in April. And so it really became, from the time he had the operation in late January, I mean, he wasn't really full speed. He was almost there when he had the second operation. And then, he wasn't really there again until a couple of weeks ago. And so there's been plenty of time for Bo Nix ankle talk. And yeah, that's one of the things that Bo has said he was focused on is having quick feet and then getting the ball out fast. And so he's, it's hard to tell that through 2 days of work. I mean, he looks fresh. He looks good and sharp in the sort of like the red zone stuff we've seen so far. But obviously, like, there's no pads yet. It's not truly full speed yet. It's a long way to go. But, you can't stay healthy and play 17 games in the first week of training camp, right? You can only do what's in front of you. And so far, he's done everything they've asked of him.
So I am kind of interested in this. It felt like he was maybe, I don't know if being shopped is the right word, but was there a point this offseason where you weren't sure if Courtland Sutton was going to be back with Denver? Because it felt like it kind of seemed like they've tried to get a receiver beyond him and then maybe even potentially moving on from him at some point. But he's also such a huge part of both the Bo Nix experience, but just the recent Denver success.
Yeah, for sure, Schaefer. I mean, I actually kind of think this is the first offseason since Sean Payton's been here where there hasn't been much of that. Like, originally when Sean Payton first got here, it was like everything must go unless proven otherwise, right? And to Sean's credit, like, there were a lot of guys who he wasn't sold on in the early months or the first year that then eventually he was. Courtland Sutton was one of them. Garrett Bowles was another one of them. These were guys that I think, they were pretty skeptical about when they got here, and now they're sort of core pieces. I thought last year, until Courtland got the contract extension right sort of at the outset of training camp, there was a chance they would trade him. And I think it's possible, not guaranteed, but possible that this could be his last year in Denver. It's really hard. Most teams, especially when you're thinking about paying a quarterback, which the Broncos are in line to do next summer with Bo Nix, like, it's hard to carry 2 really expensive receivers. You see some of the shortcomings that happen elsewhere on your roster when you do that. Like, Cincinnati's obviously an extreme example, but that is an example. And so, you wonder about Pat Bryant, former Big Ten and, in my heart, Big Ten West receiver at Illinois. He may be the heir apparent, but he's got to prove he can do that. So I think, it's clearly like the Courtland Sutton and Jalen Waddle show this year, but you don't trade for a guy like Jalen Waddle without, probably expecting that he's going to get a new contract at some point in 2027 or 2028 even, and be a big part of your future. And that does open up a question mark about what Courtland Sutton's long-term future is.
Parker, what Davis Webb mentioned to you last year, that second year to third year jump of a quarterback. I've often kind of been looking forward to that for Bo Nix and thought a lot about how I would love to see him follow the Josh Allen trajectory, where his third year.
You'd like to see him become the best quarterback in the NFL.
Obviously, but
that is an interesting fan.
I'd like him to win a Super Bowl, though.
Oh,
I love Josh Allen. Okay. My point being, his third year, people are ready to give up on him. His third year, he gets Stephon Diggs, and I believe it's maybe his first Pro Bowl. How much is this Jalen Waddle addition could help that theory?
Yeah, well, it's funny because Davis Webb said exactly that to us this June. I mean, he didn't say Bo Nix is going to be Josh Allen, but Davis was Josh Allen's backup when that happened. And funny enough, I think that was like the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
And so they weren't in buildings, and there was really no contact happening between players and coaches. And so when Buffalo signed Stephon Diggs, Davis Webb was the backup quarterback, and he literally just like reached out to McDermott and Brian Daboll and said, "Don't worry about this, guys. I got this." And he taught Stephon Diggs their playbook over Zoom, like in the off season, so that when they got going, Diggs was sort of like up to speed and all of that. So that was like one of the early moments, I think, where people were like, "Oh, this guy's going to be a coach." Yeah, that makes sense. And just in June, Davis said to us, he said, I was in Buffalo when Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs going into year 3, and this feels a little bit like that with Bo. Now, he obviously stopped short of making the direct player comparison, but he thought, and I think he really believes, that Jalen Waddle is going to create things in Denver's offense and create not just like everyone wants to see like the 80-yard touchdown, right? But like I think he's going to create some easy answers and some cleaner looks and better looks at Courtland Sutton too, and at the running backs. And so they really think that Jalen Waddle is going to be sort of like an offense lifter, and part of that is like, Bo Nix. You hope if you're the Broncos that he's on this upward trajectory on his own, and then you add something like that makes things easier for him in addition to him being better at them.
So one of the things with the Broncos, they have a very talented defense. I do feel like it regressed a little bit last year. When you think back to last season, Parker, how often have you kind of thought about that Jacksonville game at home? You're taking on Trevor Lawrence and a Jaguars team that kind of systematically demolished Vance Joseph's defense on a Sunday. Is that one of those games that, as you kind of look back, is there something that Jacksonville's found there? Is it sort of a blip for a Denver team that, again, I felt like they regressed a little bit defensively, still really good overall. They're expected to be good again defensively here in 2026. What are your thoughts on the defense, and how often do you kind of go back to that Jacksonville game and go, I wonder what happened there?
Yeah, a little bit. I think in general, it's part of a slightly wider concern, Schaefer, which is that they have been dominant for the opening, 10 or 12 weeks each of the last 2 years. And then if you look at their numbers generally in like December
starts to go
January, they haven't been as good. Now, like obviously, like there's almost a season's worth of tape on you, and plus like it's hard to be, healthy in December and January and all that. Like there's reasons. But in general, they have faded a bit statistically and performance-wise, and just in the number of points they've given up down the stretch of seasons, each of the last 2 years, when they've had really good defenses. So that's a concern. I mean, the thing last year that just you kind of go back to over and over again, and certainly Sean Payton has, is like, for as dominant as they were, 68 sacks in a season, and just like incredible like pressure numbers, and they just, they made quarterbacks' lives miserable all year. They just didn't take the ball away. They forced 12 turnovers. They were tied for, I think, 29th in the NFL in takeaways. And so, like, Sean would much rather have them be at, like, 50 sacks or 48 or something like that and take the ball away 28 times than the way they were last year. Like, clearly the way they were last year worked. And Vance Joseph, like, they play a lot of man principles, which sometimes probably going to like suppress the number of times that like an interception falls in your lap or what have you. So, there's a reason why their profile looks like what it looked like, but all the same, like, there's some outlier tendencies too, where like, hey, listen, like they didn't take the ball away much. If they take the ball away 30% more this coming season, which seems realistic, think about how good they could be. But also, like, there's probably some other things that will fall off a little bit if that happens.
Parker Gabriel, Denver Post. Parker, thank you so much for joining us here today. Best of luck to you with the coverage of camp and then the upcoming Broncos season. Would love to have you back on sometime this fall.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, just have me back, and then I can ask you questions about Nebraska, and we can do it.
Yeah, it'd be great. And then we'll see if the Brewers, if this is the October where it all comes together for the Milwaukee Brewers.
It's going to be. I think we can all safely say that.
I think it's the year. The Brewers, my prediction was Brewers Mariners in the World Series. So if one of your teams can
not going to be mine.
How about Brewers Rays, and then we can just really blow up.
I don't want the Rays. I hate the Rays. I hate everything about the Rays. I don't like seeing the Rays have success. No Rays, says Mike.
Are you saying Brewers White Sox?
No, you're not. You're getting worse. I don't like this.
Getting worse. Colder.
Yeah. What's happening?
I would prefer the Mariners. I'd prefer the Mariners.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, Parker, we appreciate it. We'll catch you next time, and people can check out Parker's great work at the Denver Post.
Bye, Parker.
Back here with Happer and Schaefer. Friday shout-outs coming up next on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back in one final time here in the 8 o'clock hour. Happer and Schaefer. Mike Schaefer sitting in the one seat. Michael Stibbs in for Connor Happer, who likely on his way to Dubuque here this dreary morning. It is time for Friday shout-outs. Do you have any immediate shout-outs?
Not immediately, no.
You want to shout out your family?
I always shout out to that family. Actually, yeah, I have. It comes with kind of a now funny story. On Monday, I don't know if you know this, but did you know that your iPhone can detect a car crash if you're in one?
No.
So at 8:30 in the morning on Monday, I got a text from my sister that came with like the critical like yellow alert that went saying that she was in a serious car accident and the authorities have been called, and it gives you like a location of where it happens. And so I try to call her a whole bunch. She's not answering. It's going straight to voicemail half the time. I don't want to reach out to the rest of my family in case it isn't real and freak everybody out. So at 8:30, I just hop into my car and take off for, I live in Benson, and take off for 204th and Center Street, where it tells me this car accident happened. And I'm flying out there, probably going 90 miles an hour down Dodge Street once I get past 168th. Luckily, her phone just fell off the top of her husband's car, going 60 miles an hour, hitting the street. It thought it was in a car accident.
The car where the phone had gotten placed on top of the car.
She was helping get the kids in.
Okay.
Forgot it there. Yeah. So I literally passed the intersection and she texted me, I'm okay. And even then I'm like, okay, in the hospital, or just like, okay, this is fake. Like, what's going on? I call her and she's like, I'm at Starbucks. I just picked up my phone out of the street. Where are you? And I'm like, I'm on 204th and Center. So luckily she bought me a Starbucks, but I want to shout out my sister because she's alive.
Hey, that's great.
Along with my nieces and nephew who are also still alive. So,
all right.
Shout out to his family.
That is, we like to hear that. I didn't know that about the.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I might turn it off though, because I don't love that. Like we got scared for no reason. But
I do the thing where I put I have this water bottle that I utilize here in the studio. And as you can see, it's kind of like banged up because I will put it on top of my car and then drive off. And as I'm reversing, I'll hear it fall off of my car. Like, all right, well, I know what that is. But I've done that with like my kid's water bottle one time. And I was driving back. It was when we were living in Lincoln. I was driving back home. And I noticed there's like this child's water bottle laying in the street, like a block away from her house. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Somebody else uses the same water bottle as Hudson, and their idiot parent must have left it on top of the car.
Who's this dumbass?
I get home and I tell Shelby about it. She's like, yeah, I noticed that too. That's pretty wild. It's like the same color as the one Hudson has. Like half a week later, it was determined the one that Hudson had is missing, and it's because I am a big dumb idiot and drove off with it on the car. So,
and it's no longer in the street.
Yeah. It was basically broken enough that it wasn't ever going to get used again anyways. But so it goes. All right, we have a few shout outs in. If you'd like to shout out anything from Norbit to I don't know, the fill-in 16 zone host. That's what we get here from Mike. Shout out to all the great zone fill-in hosts. Stibbs, of course. Austin has been doing a great job filling in for Josh. And Nick Sainer did a great job last week. Shout out bench strength. We've got a strong bench here at 16.
They're calling me
questionable starters all over the place, but we've got depth.
They're calling me Braden Frager, I think.
Oh,
6th man of the year.
You also have ankle injuries that pop up from time
to time, just from being old.
People were worried about you going to Kansas.
I did get into Kansas.
Okay.
I would have loved to have gone to Lord.
There's something about Omaha, and people here apply for Kansas.
There is a lot of Kansas love from here. I had a lot of friends who went there.
We have a Friday shout out from Sindelar that just says, shout out to Rain. Thanks, Rain.
We do love Rain. As fans of Seattle, as discussed earlier in the show. Big Rain guys.
Mr. John Bishop, shout out to the world who survived the last 4 weeks of college football conference media day nonsense. Now I'm sure all the stupid talk has been silenced and we can get on playing of the games. No, we cannot. Games don't happen for another month yet. Plenty of time for stupid talk.
Just under a month.
The stupid talk has just begun.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
That will be it, I think, for the Friday shout-outs. Is there any others, stragglers? Do we get any text?
No, I'm not seeing anything on the text. Oh, wait. We got one for Pedro. He says, Hi, guys. Friday shout out to my family. We had a lot of family members get married this year. One more marriage this year. Congratulations to them. Have a wonderful marriage. We are blessed. Also, Tommy text in saying shout out to Cignetti for kicking the Hornets' nest called the SEC.
I love it.
Shout out to my friend and coworker Regan, who's getting married tomorrow. I'm excited to celebrate with her.
Shout out to Happer's child, celebrates second birthday on Saturday.
Happy birthday, Happer's child.
As well. All right. We will be back 9 o'clock hour next on Happer and Schaefer.
It's time for Free Bowling, where the producer reads questions on things happening in the world of sports. Connor and Mike will have the answers.
Are you harmonizing there?
Yeah, that was
impressive.
Me. Yeah, it was high pitch, normal pitch, and low pitch.
Yeah,
I mixed it in.
Look at you.
Joey just went for the wall of sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played it first, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was perfect.
You waving to people out there?
McMaster blew me a kiss. He's
well,
here early. Does he get here an hour early?
Yeah, he does. He does.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure why. Usually it's to sit at Joey's desk and make a mess.
Yeah, exactly.
Joey
That's just on
does
purpose.
not
I
appreciate
assume.
it. They have that relation.
Doesn't clean up after himself.
Yep.
You'll get the full experience, I'm sure.
I can't wait.
In the crossover. All right. Speaking of the full experience, let's free ball.
Yes, the Seattle Mariners are currently third in the AL West, but only 2.5 games out. Stibbs, do you want your beloved team to buy at the deadline or shed some players and rebuild for 2027?
That's a good question. I would. It might be smarter to shed a little, but this is a team that has never been to the World Series, and I don't know how many options they're going to have, and they have the talent.
DL is terrible this year.
So I would like them to try to go do it now.
So what do you think they need the most? Because obviously what you need
A right-handed
is
bat.
Sort of everybody needs that.
Yeah.
But what you need is also for your guys that were good last year to be good again.
That's
the hardest part about it
Yeah.
is when some of it is you go from Cal Raleigh being one of the best players in baseball to being
hitting 180 or something right now.
The dumper part of the big dumper.
Yeah, it's been rough. He was going to regress, but I did not see this.
No, I don't think anybody did.
And
then
Julio's
been
been fine, but not great. Randy's been their best hitter. Dom Canzone is their biggest power, which can't
Josh
be the
Naylor's
case.
been underwhelming.
Very. They need those guys to step up. Other than that, they could use, again, like everyone, some bullpen arms, especially some left-handed ones. But some right-handed power would sure be nice.
Okay. We'll see if they can find that.
They've got the prospects to get away. They've got starters they could trade if they need to.
A loaded system.
Yeah.
Like an absolutely loaded system with a number of guys. They've got guys that are playing on their major league roster right now that if they needed to move, that they sure could as well. And so it's just they're a really fascinating team because if they chose to sell, a lot of people would be very interested. If they choose to buy, they can go out and get almost anything they want.
They should. Yeah.
Short of Tarek Skubal, which they don't need because they have pitching. So we'll see what the Mariners do.
Very disappointing year.
There's really no question here for me to ask you guys. Just want to allow my good friend Stibbs some space to discuss his favorite quarterback, Patrick Mahomes' return from injury and the Kansas City Chiefs in 2026. Not his favorite quarterback.
I got the joke. Is Josh going to be right about him playing week 1? Do you think? He's out there running around?
It sounds like he's just going to be in camp without limitation.
It sounds like it. My friend who's a Chiefs fan sent me a video. He's all
out there
excited.
practicing.
I did not bother to watch it because I don't care about the Kansas City Chiefs.
My guy.
I just have a strong distaste for
It
their
sounds
fan
to me
base.
like he probably cheated to get allegedly to get back early. There's probably some antler spray involved.
Oh no, not antler spray.
If I was the NFL, I'd start an investigation immediately and think about kicking him out for good. Give him the Pete Rose treatment.
So I was looking at this story from earlier in the week, and it was basically just about things that were happening at fall camp. And the Chiefs wide receiver room continues to be just a random assortment of names. And it's like guys that, they had Tyquan Thornton last year, and obviously Rashee Rice is their guy if he could stay on the right side of the law and the right side of the traffic lane. So like it's not that they don't have people, but they don't really have I don't understand who he's going to be throwing the ball to.
Kenneth Walker might be their biggest weapon. They just got him.
And they, so they paid a bunch of money, so they're going to try to utilize him. And it's already a weird offseason with everything happening with Eric Bieniemy, and like all jokes aside, hopefully that situation can clear itself up and doesn't weigh through the rest of your season. But I don't really know what they're going to be exactly.
Now, what's going to happen is a lot of people feel the same way you do. A lot of Andy Reid is washed.
No, I don't
out
think
there
that.
right now. I didn't say you did, but those takes are out there.
Sure.
This is all setting up gloriously for them to go 14-3 and win the division, and probably. Knowing my luck, that's probably going to happen. They'll probably have an incredible season.
I think it's tough for them to be a playoff team.
I don't see where their offense comes from. Travis Kelce was their best wide receiver for the longest time, and he is washed. He is washed.
Well, I feel like everybody had a better off season than them in their own division. Their
outside of Kenneth Walker, I don't know
Kenneth
what
Walker's
they did.
a great addition, but the other big thing is you're getting Mahomes healthy. I didn't feel like you upgraded the rest of your roster.
No.
That much. So we'll see.
Not really.
Real shame.
Yeah, real shame is right.
Everyone hates FIFA's new private equity plan, which includes expansion to a 64-team World Cup. Some federations are boycotting future FIFA events until the plan is scuttled. Why does it seem like FIFA will get its way anyways?
Yeah, there's something about this where I feel like people are excited because UEFA, the European Federation for soccer, basically came out and they're boycotting events, and like that includes some of the biggest teams, if not the biggest teams in the world, with Spain and England and Germany and Portugal and you know Europe. You're familiar with Europe.
I'm
Think
aware
of a country in
I
Europe.
remember.
They're part of this, and so like that's a big thing. And then CONCACAF comes out and they basically say the same thing, and nobody's happy with this plan. Nobody's happy with the private equity, and yet it feels like FIFA will just steamroll ahead. And I think they're good every couple years for a story that comes out about corruption, or it comes out about the inner workings of it and the scandal, and you just keep thinking to yourself like, well, surely something else has to supersede this, and it never does, and they just sort of move on. Like the amount of atrocities that occurred for Qatar to have the World Cup, and we as a society were like, all right, yeah, that was bad for those poor people.
But soccer's on now.
But hey, the World Cup is in December.
Yeah.
I just think that, private equity issues and 64-team expansion, none of it's going to matter. FIFA's still going to be running things, and the world will continue as it is.
Yeah. To answer your question directly, Joey, why will they get – it's because they're one of the most corrupt and biggest organizations in the world, and they do whatever the hell they want. And private equity – it's
impossible for it to fail.
Yeah. And private equity is rarely ever been a good thing for anybody, and so they'll probably just go ahead and do it and ruin.
The only private equity
yet another
I like
sport.
is if I somehow just end up with money.
Like if there's a private equity firm that just wants to give me $100 million,
then I'm all for private.
Sure,
equity.
but I don't have to promise anything, and they can't control. Well, they can control my life if they want, as long as I have $100 million. Do whatever you say.
We got any more, Joey?
Last one. We talked about Baker Mayfield earlier this week. Well, not Stibbs, but he could talk about it anyway. And the situation is worse than anticipated. Baker says he feels disrespected by the offers from the Bucs so far. Any chance this doesn't result in a down season for Tampa?
Yeah, I don't love what's coming out of Tampa right now. Vita Vea asking for a trade. Baker Mayfield talking about being disrespected by the offer.
Mike Evans
obviously he wants to get Mike Evans left. Levante retired, right?
Yeah.
So it is a fully different looking Bucs operations.
Mike Evans on the 49ers?
He's on the 49ers,
okay.
Right? And so it's going to just be different in Tampa. That was you routinely, since Brady went there, you could count on Tampa being competitive in that division, and they won that division 4 straight years after they won the Super Bowl. They didn't win it the year they won the Super Bowl, and then they've won it every year since. Yeah. And they did it transitioning from Brady to Mayfield. They've done it where Todd Bowles is their coach, and he's questionably competent, I guess would be the way to phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a reunion coming for Baker and Tampa after this season with everything that's being said here. And kind of a weird spot for Tampa to be right now.
I'm not sure there's a contract that could have been given to Baker where he wouldn't have felt disrespected. That's kind of just his baseline
money, and it's hard though because he's older. Not old, but he's older, and then the way he plays, he's always going to be hurt. And
that's just his vibe. Like he thrives on having a chip on his shoulder. So I feel like no matter what that was going to be, he was going to try to use it to his advantage and feel disrespected.
So you'd ask me if I was excited about Kyler. The problem now is I'm dreaming about a world where Baker Mayfield is the quarterback, and I can't imagine telling like 2019 2020, 2021 version of me this because I thought Baker was trash.
Yeah, I didn't like him
like
either.
didn't care for him. But then like Bucks Baker, reinvented Baker.
He's fun.
Yeah, he's I would love that guy. I would love that guy throwing to Justin Jefferson, Jordan
Fiery,
Addison, and
easy to
and
root
all
for.
of it. Yeah. Now I don't know. I don't think he's back with Tampa next year.
I always felt that Tampa lately has been on the they've been good and they've won a lot of divisions, but they're always like they kind of sneak in the playoffs. They might get it. They're kind of teetering.
Yeah,
they're teetering all the time, and this could be the thing that finally teeters them off the wrong side of the bed.
There was a brief snippet in time where it felt like they were poised to be like not necessarily a Super Bowl contender, but just one of the teams right outside of it. Like the year the Lions blew that lead in the NFC Championship game, which was a tremendous thing for all parties. The Bucks almost beat them the week before in the divisional round up there in Detroit. Like they were right there with that team. And so, Baker Mayfield has a couple playoff wins or a couple playoff appearances. They beat the Eagles. I think they lost to the Commanders the second year, but it's been a good fit. But clearly, there's a shift that's coming in Tampa. It could get ugly. It could get ugly. Speaking of things that got ugly, the Kansas City Royals lost last night. Got ugly. We'll see. Jake Sorensen had quite an airplane episode that got ugly as well. However, he's good to go. We're going to get to him next on Happer and Schaefer.
I'm kind of psychotic. So what else is new? I think you guys both know that my psychology is probably really can't assess how it operates. I don't even know how my brain works at all most days either. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, guys. We have not won a playoff game in 25 years. I don't believe ever in moral victory because they're a waste of time. My whole life will be a moral victory at that point. They're going to lose. It's the way sports go. It's very hard to go undefeated. I got the Royals going to the World Series this year. I don't care. I will follow this team wherever they go, and I will not complain about where they play at. I don't want them to lose a game, but I kind of want to lose a game for the sake of
Jake
pressure.
Sorensen for losing.
Fridays with Jake Sorensen.
If I see him, I would not shake his hand.
93.7 The Ticket on Happer and Schaefer. 1620 The Zone.
We do morning show, guys. We're always on low sleep. It's the way it is.
It is Friday in the 9 o'clock hour, and it means Jake Sorensen is here to explain yet again what the hell is happening with his Kansas City Royals. I don't know if he would shake Matt Strom's hand after an ultimate slam from Cody Clemens, son of Roger Clemens, to defeat the Royals yesterday. Jake, when did you become aware of this? I know you were a busy man yesterday. You had a lot going on.
Yeah, this is actually a great story. You'll like this. So we're going in the Uber from the Hilton Chicago to the airport, and I see the Royals are up 3-0. So I get on the game cast, the ESPN game cast, just seeing the balls and strikes and everything. I see they get 2 outs, no one on. Okay, here we go. Then a hit by pitch, then a soft single. I say I have to turn this on to watch them blow it. So I pull up my MLB app that has the Royals on there. And, of course, bases get loaded. Here comes Ursig out of the game. And you would think that maybe Steven Cruz, who's been okay in the pen, or maybe Daniel Lynch. No. Matt Strom has been maybe the worst pitcher in all of baseball this year out of the bullpen.
That is not true.
Well, he's been terrible. He's got 11 home runs out of the pen, I believe, which is just horrific.
That is a lot.
It's terrible. And on his own,
he has been horrible.
He has been downright.
I didn't know it was that bad.
Oh, it's that bad.
He's a 7.27
It was
ERA.
bad that when Clemens hit that ball, he turned around. It looked like he just knew.
He
Right?
knew.
He was just like,
He
okay,
knew.
well, again.
Well, you have an 0-2 count and you throw a meatball slider down the middle. Schaefer, you're a pitcher. You burn that pitch.
You're supposed to. It means he's not controlling his pitches very well.
Because he's not good like the entire team. That was a chance to have maybe back-to-back shutouts. Maybe you get some sort of weird spark, but no. 1 step forward, 17 steps back for your 26 KC Royals.
Fitting in with the theme of this just being a year from hell for the Royals, Matt Strom's previous 3 years, he had been one of the best relievers in baseball for the Phillies, right. And then shows up in Kansas City, the organization that drafted him, and then he made his debut in 2016. I want to say Matt Strom at one point in time was committed to Nebraska. I don't think I'm making this up in my head.
Sounds right.
He was a junior college arm, and I thought he was committed to Nebraska before the Royals took him in the 21st round. And so he's made a nice career for himself as a reliever, and then ends up back in Kansas City. He was an all-star a couple years ago. And Jake, who is full of bombast, might be accurate here. A 7.27 ERA on 40 appearances, 34.2 innings, 11 home runs allowed. He gave up 11 home runs in 2023. He also pitched 87.2 innings. So
look at his game.
50 more innings and the same amount of home runs.
Man,
I think there was one stretch of time, Schaefer. I might be wrong. I think he gave a home run in 4 or 5 consecutive outings like a month ago, or it was just unbelievable. And so nobody was shocked to see that result yesterday. But I mean, here's the thing: I saw the Royals. I think their 9th inning ERA as a team is 7+ this year. Keep in mind, the team with the best was, of course, Mason Miller is the Padres. I think they have like a 0.89 ERA. The Royals have a 7+ ERA in the 9th inning. They've gone through like 8 different closers because nobody can do anything in that inning. It's just been. I mean, they were picked to win the division, which was an awful pick by obviously me to win the World Series. What an idiot that was. But it wasn't just me in terms of having high expectations.
No, they have underwhelmed. There's no other way to.
And that was bad.
As a Mariners fan, it makes me feel a lot better about our underwhelming season. Yeah, I suppose it could have been worse.
The Royals are 5-1 against Seattle somehow this year.
Yeah,
that's part of his underwhelming season. Is your 5-1?
I was at that one.
Oh, well, congratulations!
That's right. You did good.
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck charm.
So let's move off of the Royals, and you had a front row seat at. I don't know if it was front row seat, but you had a seat at Big Ten Media Days, and you were there as Matt Rule spoke yesterday. What if anything was kind of a takeaway that you had from Matt Rule talking? What was the biggest singular thing you learned from Big Ten Media Days?
Well, I mean, I think you probably heard this from others. I thought it was a little odd that going to the end of it, Matt Rule did not sit down with anybody at Radio Row. That's not usually how that operates. So I think maybe there's some divide there with the media and Matt Rule. That could be reading into it too much, but that's what it seems like to me. But look at his podium visit. He says, we didn't come here to go 7-6. Well, yeah, that's a good thing to say. They want to have playoff expectations. I thought it was just a ho hum appearance by Rule in Chicago. I thought it was odd. He brought up the fact that about his podcast and that might be a reason why they had a good recruiting class coming in. That was kind of a bizarre comment. He didn't say it like that exactly, but to a certain extent. I don't know. I walk away with a pretty strange vibe about it all from the head coach.
Interesting. Yeah, I only really have the podium to go off of, which just kind of was him sort of stumping for what's gone well when it has gone well, mentioning, and I thought the biggest takeaway from this is that he acknowledges like where they are is not where they need to be, and that he's 7-6 isn't good enough, and 7-5 isn't good enough. So that means I think he expects 8 wins as the standard for the 2026 season, which I think it's good. Like I think it's good that he put that out there and that's what they expect and that's what they can kind of be held to. Because if they do go 8-4, that seems like a good year. Any of the news pieces of it, whether it was talking about Mekhi Nelson and Tyke Hayes or the guys coming back from injury or Jeremiah Jones, any of that jump out to you? Is there any big news piece that came out of yesterday?
I mean, the Jones one's interesting going from receiver to defensive line. You don't see that very often.
You also don't have a lot of 6'4", 230-pound receivers built like defensive ends. So it kind of works out.
I mean, we've seen guys make position changes that didn't actually get on the field. So we'll see if he makes a push there, if it works out. I'm curious about that. Yeah, the Tyke Hayes situation, Mekhi Nelson, is interesting. I mean, I think all of us are just very curious of that picture in general. As you replace Emmett Johnson, that's somebody who, of course, broke out last year, an NFL player now, and you're curious, is Mekhi Nelson the day one starter? He's going to be in the program. So what does it look like for fall camp for him? What does it look like for Tyke Hayes to come in and if he's going to get some good playing time, and also Jamal Rule and Mosey are guys that are brought up in that conversation. So right now that position is intriguing, but I just don't know if you feel like you can feel good about it. Do you guys feel good about that spot or not?
No, I haven't felt good about running back most years. I felt like Emmett was going to be a good player last year. I didn't expect him to be an All-American. And a lot of it for me is it's hard to be excited about guys that nobody else really seemed to want outside of Isaiah Mosey, and he was recruited as a receiver, an entirely different position. So
I think also it's going to be odd. I mean, if Tyke Hayes is a big part of this room, which again he very well could be, that's just another bizarre thing where the fact he was added like a couple weeks ago and in the middle of July, and all of a sudden he comes in and is a big part. It just tells you a lot about what they think about that room, and maybe if they thought he could be, another valuable piece. But I don't know. I don't know if you can tell me if anybody could walk me or talk me into that room being solid entering the 2026 football season.
I think it's very much you're going to have to see it before you can sort of believe it kind of thing. As it was with Curt Cignetti before we saw it, and now we believe it, and now we listen to him. And is it just Curt Cignetti's world, and we're fortunate enough to be living in it, Jake?
Yes, I love the guy. I know he rubs him the wrong way. The guy's a winner. I love how confident and brash he is. I mean, he's taking shots at the SEC because he can. The guy who won the national championship, he's 27-2 to Indiana. He can say whatever the heck he wants to say, and he is. So I love the fact you said I'm done with vacation. I'm sick of my wife bossing me around when I'm bossing people around. That was a good line from Curt Cignetti as well. Whatever that guy says, I stop what I'm doing and I listen, because he's doing unthinkable things that we all wish could happen in our schools, whether it's Nebraska or whoever else is listening or out there that wants to have success. He's found the magic touch somehow, and I am so curious to see how he follows up the national title this year and to see if they can likely get back to the playoff, but can they, get back to a national championship? Just a remarkably interesting story for him in Indiana as they enter year 3 with the best coaching job that I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure you would agree with that as yourself.
It's been remarkable to see, and then it's going to be fascinating to see what the follow up is after going 16-0 and all of that. Nebraska gets a front row seat on October 10th. You had a front row seat to the chaos that was next door. How was the merger of Big Ten Media Days right outside of Lollapalooza?
So I was staying at the Congress Hotel, which is like a block and a half away from the Hilton Chicago. But I can text you. I'll text you a picture of that off the internet.
I have friends that have spoken of the Congress because that tends to be one of the more economical options.
Oh yeah, I thought the Congress was fine. I had no problem with the Congress. I'm just saying that my hotel, like I was in the 9th floor with the look out, towards Michigan Avenue, and I'm looking right down at Lollapalooza the whole time. So obviously we left before it actually got going. I kind of saw just basically being set up and all the cones and everything. But yeah, I mean it's right there. Let me tell you this, Schaefer. Like you couldn't see a lot about Lollapalooza on Tuesday, Wednesday, but we walked out of Media Days yesterday. Again, we left a little before everybody else. We had to catch a flight that, of course, never took off until today at 6:45. That's a different story. But it's a different world. I mean, there's the most scandalous outfits you could see from everybody. I mean, it's like, what did we walk into out here? It's craziness. And they're walking right on Michigan Avenue. It's like, oh my God, what is going on in the city of Chicago right now?
Have you ever been to a music festival?
Yeah, I was going to
Jake?
ask. Like, I know you're a big live music guy, but are you a music festival guy?
I can't say I've ever been to one. I've never been to. I mean, can you imagine me at like Coachella? How would I operate?
I mean, I can.
You explaining you explaining what they were wearing that got me to think like, yeah, I don't think you maybe not have been to one before. That's pretty normal.
I know, but yes, I have not been.
It offended his Midwestern sensibility.
Exactly. I shouldn't be seeing this on the street. Excuse me.
Where are your parents?
Those words were said a lot by others in the group, not me. But yeah, I know I've not been to a festival. I've been to many a concert, which I know that interesting attire there. But no, I have not been to an actual festival before. I'm not really sure. At 35 and beyond, that's something I want to attend. I probably missed the boat on that back in my 20s, but I'm sure that those who are going will have a great time. I will say this, it was obviously we were living on the sun last week in Lincoln and Omaha with 115 degrees. It felt like it was perfect weather. So I would imagine that event in late July obviously is very, very warm sometimes. It was probably in the mid-70s, so it should be pretty comfortable for them.
There's a festival right down the street here in a week you could check out. That's easy. You don't got to camp or anything.
Is it a festival if you don't camp?
Maybe I should try that out.
They call it a festival.
Okay.
It is.
Who's at the festival? Anybody I would know?
Do you know Bright Eyes?
I've heard of them.
They're from Omaha. They're a Wet Leg.
No.
Probably not.
Keep going. Anybody else?
Is Bright Eyes Connor over?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's just the first.
I believe I've heard of that group before.
So, Jake, there is someone that you have heard of that I'm pretty sure is at the Stir here next week. Are you going to go to Howard Jones?
I should. I do love taking us back in time.
You remember our relationship over Howard Jones?
Oh, it was very strange. I feel like every appearance he had, we had a Howard Jones reference. I think that I'm not even sure how it started. I played it for Song of the Day or something like that, and then you had mentioned that you saw something about Howard Jones.
Well, it
you
started.
Never heard of him. I said Howard Jones is pretty popular. He was in the 80s at least.
You were trying to explain him to me. It was one of your trivia questions one time.
Oh.
You were trying to explain him to me, and you were telling me that he was a big group and everybody should know who, or not a big group, but it's a big musician name, and everyone should know who Howard Jones is. And
Sounds
then
like a financial institution.
Right. I went around and asked people if they knew who Howard Jones was, and like older people sort of did.
Yeah.
And then Jack Mitchell backed you up as saying that it was someone that everyone should know. And then I think like 2 weeks later, it was a music trivia question. And so it just kept popping up as soon as it's like when you buy a car and then you realize how many of your make and model are out there on the road.
You see it everywhere.
And it's like the first time I ever heard Howard Jones, and I became aware of how much Howard Jones did.
Now he's everywhere.
I will stand by. I mean, I am 35. I'm not one of the kids anymore. Like the kids in their 20s, they won't know Howard Jones. He's not really played the radio. But anybody my age and older should know who Howard Jones is and his music.
I'm older than you, and I didn't.
I know. I'm saying that. You are lumped in the group that should know the music of Howard Jones and who he is.
Okay.
So I will stand by. You should have known who he was, and you still should know who he is.
All right. Well, there's a lot of things that I should
forget,
probably know.
You and I drove back a couple years ago from a Royals game in KC. It was Guardians Royals, like I think game 2 of the season.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a good game either.
And you were challenging me to find a song that you might know that was like somewhat new, and we struggled. I tried to play some stuff like this. Again, I am by no means like in on current music, or even back then was really in. But
I'm out.
Fooled me.
I know nothing.
And you were all the way out. I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm out in this. You are way more.
No, I know absolutely nothing.
That sounds like a fun game.
It was a fun game, and I'd be like, oh, is this new? He's like, well, it came out in 2017. It was like 2020.
I mean,
I was like,
that's new to me.
It's new to me. All right, Jake, have a Jake, have a great weekend. Thanks for making time for us this morning, even though it was chaotic getting out of Chicago.
You got it, guys. Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye, Jake.
Right. Jake Sorensen of The Ticket. I always appreciate him on Fridays. Before we go, we were talking about shows. You want to go to a show, get to 1620thezone.com to enter in some of the following contests. Chris Stapleton is in Lincoln. You can see Michael Severe there. He's really excited, unless for some reason, like the last 3 times, something comes up and he can't actually go to the concert. Motionless in White is coming to the Metro. That'll be in November. And then Bert Kreischer, not a musician, but he might play some songs off of his belly. He's fat, just slapping it around.
Might,
You never know what he's going to do.
He'll play Welcome to the Machine, probably. He's known as the Machine.
Right. And so, that's at the Mid-American Center in December. So get to 1620thezone.com to enter to win and enjoy one of those great events. All right. You can also enjoy accountability when we return to finish up the show next on Happer and Schaefer. Welcome back in one final time, and I want to tell you to get online to enter for your chance to win 1620 to the Zone's $5,000 preseason plunder. This is what Stibbs is talking about. He's not eligible, but you are. Stock up on provisions before the start of the season. Improve your game day experience by upgrading your captain's quarters. Cash in on tickets to see your favorite team. Whatever you want to do. So enter to win $5,000, 1620thezone.com. Sponsored by Ag Consulting Group.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for accountability.
Okay, so different ones for me today. I said wetter instead of weather.
That was a good one.
At one point, there was one that happened on I said that we were going to do one segment, but then I ended up kicking it to a different hour. And Joey immediately told me I needed to mention it in accountability.
Yes. I think you hit your mic every segment.
Yeah, the microphone I don't think has really been that much of an issue in the last week or so. Turning it off maybe more so than turning it on.
There's no issues today.
So that's good. I get a gold sticker, I think, on the chart that Joey makes for me outside the studio.
That's cute.
Well,
yes.
You should do that. That'd be great.
We could do that.
There's a lot of
chart.
There's no color in here. You guys should start decorating.
Well, into my 30s, I would always take the no cavities sticker.
Yeah.
Like from the dentist, because when I was a kid, I felt like every other time I had cavities. And then so it's like I had this run of 12 years as an adult, 3 of which I just didn't go to the dentist because I didn't have dental insurance and did not want to pay, and I wasn't that worried about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any cavities when I immediately had my first dental appointment. And so I had this incredible streak, and so I was pretty proud of it. And then it ended. I've had one cavity, I think, since then, but
I've been pretty good as a kid. I always had. Again, you're talking about I drank a lot of soda.
Some of that is a product of the teeth that you inherit.
Yeah.
You know, and then your teeth have to get stronger or whatever. But I also know some people that have never had a cavity.
I also didn't like brushing my teeth. So I would lie about that all the time. But
that could do it.
I've
been on a good run.
I think I had 1 or 2 when I was a child, but I've not had any issues
as an adult.
For a very long
time.
Now
you get kind of you don't like the dentist.
I'm not a huge fan of
Does anyone?
Well, I mean,
I don't hate it. I'm not nervous and scared.
I'm
but
not going to go
don't
hang out in the office and read their magazines and sit on their uncomfortable furniture.
That said, my dentist is my dad's best friend. So I do kind of enjoy going to catch up with.
Sure.
I've known all of these people, the ladies behind the desk, since I was
I've had
4,
a good social relationship with the dentist in my life, I guess. Now the relationship that's always been difficult for me is the hygienist always wants to talk and ask questions.
It's everywhere.
I can't. Yep. I can't answer, and a lot of times, I just don't want to think. When I get my hair cut, when it's not that I don't want to be social. I'm generally a social person. In those situations, I have little to offer.
And you want to get in and out of that chair as fast as possible. So it's always, the joke is they ask a question, you can't talk because they've got stuff in your mouth.
Right.
If they don't, that means they're pausing for you to talk. And
which only slows down the process.
I'd rather you just get this over with.
Agreed.
We can talk afterwards if you want.
Accountability for hygienists.
Did I screw up? One thing I always wish, and I do this with Josh too, I wish I could come up with more questions in interviews. I basically just let Josh do all of the interviews in USC. So I'll take accountability on not asking questions.
You asked several good questions to Parker.
But I asked more questions today than I probably have total
in
any
well,
other.
Schaefer set up the show. Shout out to Schaefer on a Friday. He set up the show for you.
He made it very easy.
I select the city of the day in honor of you being here on this wonderful Friday.
Yeah.
Accountability for me. Well, for some reason I thought I-90 runs through North Dakota when it actually runs through South Dakota.
Idiot.
Yeah. What an idiot.
Everybody knows this.
I just accept it.
And then I misfired the accountability open near the end of Schaefer's
I wasn't going to say it.
You never know. So you haven't worked with me long enough to know when I'm going to, the pause or when it's going to be the finish of something. So that's.
And it was like that last week.
All of that just comes with time.
Last week. Yeah. It's all about the timing.
No,
you learn your hosts.
That's like a good day for us.
I had a blast.
It was a great day.
I didn't see too many people bitching about me being on. I thought there'd be a lot. I'm more of an afternoon personality. I can be grading. So I was wondering if the more serious morning folk weren't going to enjoy their drive to work.
Do you know who Howard Jones is?
No, and I'm a music guy.
Okay, so someone else just commented, I have no idea who Howard Jones is. I'm 50.
And I looked up.
I swear to you, Jake was just aghast that I didn't know who this guy was. Like
I even looked up his song, like popular song. One of it's called "What Is Love." I assume that's not "What Is Love."
I'm assuming that's a remix,
but it might be.
Yeah,
but
it could be.
I don't know. I don't
Well,
recognize
he's here in the area.
You should check him out.
The Stirp, so
It's live music. Live music's always fun.
live music is always fun. I haven't been to a concert in a while.
I haven't either.
I was
Your
at
big
Scorpion.
weekend plans?
I got that wedding tomorrow.
Wedding?
That'll be fun.
Ooh.
Other than that, no.
All right.
Last concert I was at was a Scorpions concert down in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
last
We are
year.
the Scorpions! Do you, Joey, do you think you will be spending some time as Tosh Lapoy this weekend?
No, I will not.
You don't think so? You're not going to be Cal, or you're not going to play?
I'm not.
I don't understand.
I'm not going to invest my time in that.
So you bought it last Sunday.
I thought you said you were going to play this week.
Yeah, I thought you said.
I thought you were talking about. I thought you were talking about something different.
I don't know what is happening.
I don't know what name you said.
I'm just ready. I'm just ready for the weekend.
Okay.
You were talking about California on the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Tosh Lapoy is the head coach. You said that you were just going to be the head coach.
Yeah. I'll be the head coach.
Okay.
Because Yoel Monroe is.
I was so confused. I thought we had already talked about this.
I got confused.
We did.
When you mentioned the coach's name. I thought
You were
talking
thinking about something else.
Yeah, I was
Daniel
thinking about something
Tosh?
else. I was thinking about probably a musical artist that was going to be around the area that I've not heard of.
I'm not going to invest any time in that.
I originally
I found out yesterday Joey's never had a kolache.
You're not missing out.
I like kolaches.
I figure I wasn't.
I'm not a
missing out.
huge pastry.
Okay.
I got like a donut,
Yeah.
cinnamon roll.
I didn't know if it was
but
a
like,
fruit thing for
that
you.
is me.
and it's a warm.
Some people
it
don't
is
like
a
the
warm,
fruit with
It's a
the
warm
pastry
fruit
thing.
thing.
Yeah.
My girlfriend in high school was Czech.
Okay.
Like her family was very Czech. We went to Czech days in Wilbur.
My wife claims that she can make kolaches. At no point in the 5 years that we've been married and the 8 years of our relationship has there ever been kolaches made for me. Now, she had made kolaches. She, like, early on in our dating, she was making kolaches, but they weren't for me. They were given to somebody else.
Yeah. So
Not
there's
for
proof
me.
she can do it, but you don't know how good
Allegedly,
they
I've
are.
never seen them and I haven't eaten them, so I don't
Okay.
know if they're any good.
I think Czech food in general pretty overrated.
Whoa.
Just a lot of sauerkraut.
You are
and
not
bland.
invited to Wilbur.
I've been there many times. It's a blast. I just go to the little dairy whatever and get cheese curds. that place rocks.
The answer to life is cheese curds. All right, everybody, have a great weekend.
Thank you, Schaefer.
Thanks for tuning in here on Happer and Schaefer. Big
And
thank you to
Joey.
Michael Stibbs for filling in for Connor Happer. Big thank you to Joey Warcola for doing everything that he does, which is a lot that you never hear about or see about, and we appreciate it. Middays with Matt is next.